Morning, Roxanne. Thank you so much as always for my brooms. Ruben Rogers, morning, sir. Carol Boyce John, morning. Arlene Lewis, morning, Arlene. Daniela Williams, morning. Alberta Sampath, morning to you. Rude, morning. Gerald Pascal Manswell, morning, sir. Althea, morning. Charm Rich, morning to you. Holly Legol, morning. Anna Sisnat, morning, Anna. As I see Anna there, let me extend belated birthday greetings to Darlene Sisnat. Celebrated her birthday a couple of days ago. And I trust that it was well spent and that it was also a memorable one. So you could convey those for me, Anna, to Darlene. Wazid, morning. Cyril Mayas, morning, sir. Carlos Fonilier, morning, my brother. How are things? Rina Jennings, morning, Rina. Leon Joseph, Neil Francois, always present, sir. Morning. Camilla Dean, morning. Brenda Isaac, morning to you. Trevor Carter Nelson, morning, sir. Felix Hospitalis, Deborah Duranti, Constance Abigail Hercules, morning, guys. Annette Baird, morning, Annette. Leon Joseph, morning to you. Rosemary Headley, morning, Rosemary. Patty Kutu, morning, Patty. We see who we have on Facebook. Joycelyn Smallwhite, morning, Joycelyn. Eva Smith Spivey, morning to you. Morning, Diane. Ruth Fronton, morning. Alison Boyce, morning to you. Leon Graves, morning, Leon. Adriana Alexis, morning. Good morning to His Excellency, the President of Pleasantville. Nigel O'Connor, First Lady Marissa Keegan, morning to you guys. Phyllis Antoine, morning, Phyllis. Christopher Coffey, morning, sir. Morning, Judy. Stephen Martel, morning to you, sir. Gemma Alexander, morning. Dawn Joseph, morning, Dawn. Gail Ramberley, morning to you, Gail. Hyacinth Lewis, morning. Wilmer Young. Anne-Marie Charles, Ria Edward Carlos is also on Facebook. Morning, Carol. Carol Myers, Janice Matthews, Victoria Isidore, morning to all of you guys. See. KCSS, morning, sir. Well, I don't know how to say morning. Don't know if it's right. Roland Nelson, Yogo Consultants and Events Management Limited, good morning to you. Morning, Jenny. PF Cutters, morning. Slick Money Grip, morning to you. J Dimple 66, morning. Francissa Batiste, morning to you. Terence Cummings, morning, sir. Sharon Richardson Williams, morning. Dexter Thwaites, morning to you. Marva James, Kenneth Gabriel, Stephen Davis, Cherry Ann George, morning to all of you guys. Let's see, I have this thing to turn this off. Right, so of course I wasn't able to come on Thursday. Bonks Up Central, morning to you. Arthur James, Margaret Thomas, Nicole Caesar, morning, Nicole. Denise Reed, Suzette Jackie, morning, guys. Philomena Collins. I had forgotten that Thursday was Bruce Wayne's father's funeral, and that funeral started at 9 a.m. and it was held in. Leon is saying no picture on YouTube. I don't understand what's going on. Yeah. 9 a.m. In Carnage, where Bruce lives. So I was not able to do the live and be in attendance because the funeral was just about an hour. Yeah. So again, condolences to Bruce and his family. I know the dad had been healing for some time. Even while I was back at 91.9, he used to tell me about the father's health challenges. So he held on for a little while longer. Yeah, so condolences again to Bruce and family. Right. So let me see here where to start with. The Prime Minister not last week, week before, I think it was, while he made a contribution in the parliament, made the statement, a week in politics is a long time, and he was quoting a former British Prime Minister, and Kamala Persad-Bissessar, who was in the parliament chamber at the time, she was insisting a day is that the quote is a day in politics. No, it's a week. And how correct the Prime Minister was, because what a week it has been in the politics of Trinidad and Tobago. So many things have happened. Some of it not much in favor of the other party. So we saw finally that the bill was brought to Parliament to make the steel pan the national instrument, the official national instrument of Trinidad and Tobago. While for years it was the de facto national instrument, it is now the de jure national instrument. So we just need for the president to proclaim it. That's the final stage, and then it would be officially official, right? So some good news there after all of these years that has finally come to pass. Certainly good news for the PAN movement. But as I said, not good news for the other side, who wasted no time even before the debate took place on the bill, was seeking to mire it in confusion and bacchanal and old talk and propaganda. And the two main mouthpieces for the opposition on that score was, of course, Tina Roberts and David Naked, the lunatic. Naked, who these days looking like if he's the poster boy for TCB. I don't know if they still have TCB. I know years ago, growing up as a child, my mother used to use that. And when you look at Naked's hair, now it seems that he is attempting to revive that, albeit, not successfully. Yeah? Man who always like to lay claim to his African roots, but yet still. Yeah. You're here saying something different, David. You and Munilal need to ease up on the Bijan and the waterworks. Accept the fact that you are aging, you're getting old. Oh gosh, are you still trying to hold on to your youth? You're old. It is what it is. I'll fight it. That's part of the aging process. I mean, Munilal looking like, Anyway, I'm going to go there. I'm going to leave that there. But just wanted to say, so I looked at the Parliament channel yesterday, and they had a replay of the debate. And I listened to David Naked, spent his entire contribution talking mostly about himself and how he grew up, in Laventille, and Rudolph Charles was his uncle, and he grew up around Pan, and he don't love Pan, he is Pan, and Pan is his family, and Pan this and Pan that, and everything was I mean, yes, it's Christmas in July, but oh gosh, you could have easily up is only I. Like really? So he trying to and to put, as I said, this is a momentous occasion for Trinidad and Tobago. This is something that has been long in coming. Do like the other senators now. Just speak, praise the initiative. Praise the initiative. Say whatever good things you need to say. Sit down and hush your mouth. But no, you have to come and make it into a political thing about all the PNM and all Eric Williams. You have to go back to the days of Eric Williams, and the PNM betrayed the PAN movement, and the PAN movement used to support the PNM, and all of that. And nobody don't know PAN like him, and all of that. Ask him if he knows how to play a PAN. You grew up, you're boasting, you grew up around PAN. Who was your uncle, your cousin, your nenen, your godfather? And you probably can't even play a note on a PAN. All that PAN you grew up around. And it never occurred to you, hey, let me learn to play PAN. I just say, because he gave no indication that he could play PAN. He talked about Carnival, and the only thing he and his family were allowed to do for Carnival was to push PAN for Desperados. He talked about Desperados being up in Laventille and whatnot, and they had to come down the hill and all of that. And once a touch up your talk. But you could beat a note, you know how to use a pan stick, Mr. Naked? Well, Randall Mitchell put him in his place good and proper. It is not often that Mr. Mitchell speaks in the Parliament, but when he does, I mean, on this occasion, I must say, well done. Well done, sir. So I'm just going to play that little part for you, right? But today's a crave your indulgence day. So when I say that, we're going to play, right? Forgive me, please. I'm begging. I've not played either of these two fools in quite some time. But yeah, so just let me see if I get this. Don't worry, I'm gonna play too much. Don't want to spoil those of you who had your breakfast already. I don't want to spoil that. So let me just connect this. Put this on here. Kathy Townsend says forgive. Sarah says that Adele, please. Sarah, I promise I wouldn't play too much. Not too much. I know it's difficult for some of you. It's difficult for me too. All right. So let me get this here. You see, I had to give context to what I'm going to play from this one. Where is it? Dirty Mouth Lunatic.
Imagine a pencil pusher, a lightweight, who's the Minister of Tourism, Culture and the Arts, come in the Parliament yesterday and tell Panmen they should be grateful they get a panyard. Panmen who promote Trinidad and Tobago since the 50s, the 60s, 70s, traveling outside, bringing pan to the world. A pencil pusher, a man who never come up with that one idea for culture and the arts, for tourism. A man who making $70,000 a month, he and his family. In other words, $840,000 a year he making off pan. He making off pan, Randall Mitchell. And telling pan men yesterday, Desperados, Lavender Desperados, the finest steel orchestra in the world, that they should be happy. They get a panyard.
That is entirely untrue. Having looked at the debate, the contributions of this lunatic, as well as Randall Mitchell, and I listened to Randall Mitchell's contribution from start to finish, and at no point in time did he say what this lunatic is saying. So let me just put that on record for the benefit of the supporters of that other party who may be listening, right?
Name. That not even in Desperado's name. You see the arrogance and stupidity of these PNM people. PNM so dunce and dotish that imagine they have a senator called Rishi Sukai, my name Rishi Sukai, who when he complete a sentence, PNM and them is do like that. They happy he complete a full sentence. Dunce and dotish. Randall Mitchell, who making $840,000 a year.
Now he felt the need there to talk about Rishi Sukai because Sukai also put him in his place in the Senate, where during his contribution, Mr. Sukai would have let him know that at least I graduated from university with a degree in engineering and I have a master's. And the only thing you know how to do is to kick a football, right? So he didn't like that. And he didn't like when Randall Mitchell also told him, that you should have respect for your intellectual superiors. And for the whole time after Randall Mitchell said that, he sit down there in his seat and he uncomfortable, he don't know what to do. And only shouting across the aisle, intellectual superiority are still waiting for it and so on. It hurts him, the blood close to the skin. We are not Roberts, this can't take that, man. So yeah.
Renting the pants in Bigo. And Beverly Ramsey Moore had no problem with that. Give away Panman land and telling Panman they should be happy because UNC and do that. Now we didn't do that. I have the papers to prove it. Basio Pandey with Kamla Prasad Bisasa and Peter Kanai with Clarence Rambarat who signed off on it. The Clarence Rambarat was nice and chubby. Sign off on it. Giving away to the Panmen 3,000 acres of land. Carney said they'll get that. Now, Rowley come and take that from you and giving it to a businessman from India, not even an Indian from Trinidad, a businessman from India, and telling Parliament they should be happy because they're getting a piece of property that can't fit nothing on it except administration offices. And telling Parliament they should be happy for that. And leaving 3,000 acres up in Orange Grove to build a cricket academy. Parliament, whenever they're supporting that, why go tell all you? I know all their struggles. I will keep fighting for all you. But all you have to start fighting for yourselves. The first thing is to vote Beverly Ramsey Moore out of Panchin Bill. That's the first thing. And get somebody who really in the interest of Parliament.
Right. So at the gist of what now these people lie with impunity, right? I played that specifically because you heard him say not once but twice that the Pandey administration gave the Panmen 3,000 acres of land in Orange Grove. 3,000 acres, eh? Imagine 3,000 acres of land. That's what he said. Not once, he said it twice. And it was even worse. He made this live after he was dealt with comprehensively in the Parliament by Randall Mitchell, right? But during his contribution, he said that the Pandey administration gave the Panmen 13 acres. He said 13 acres, then whoever next to him said 15 acres. They can't make up their mind because they told us when it was announced about the cricket academy is 30 acres and all kind of nonsense. Now he's telling us 3,000 acres of land. You know? But you see, it's important to play these things and correct the record because the fully dones will listen to that and run with it and go all over the place saying, oh, Pandey get the Panmen 3,000 acres and Rowley come and take back the 3,000 acres. Because when I hear that, I say, well, okay, it's 30 acres to build the cricket academy. So if they got 3,000 acres, it means that they still have 2,970 acres. So what's the issue? Because certainly they don't need 3,000 acres to build. He's saying 3,000 acres, and he will put that out there for the fully dones. Yeah, for them to run all over the place and talk that stupidness because they don't read, they don't do any research, and they will run with that 3,000 acres. 3,000 acres, my foot. They gave the Panmen, based on my research, 8.5 acres, not 3,000, as this lying lunatic just put out there. All right? Not 3,000, 8.5, and then they got an additional Patrick Arnold, who at the time was president of Panchin Bigo, requested a further 3 acres, which he got from the Manning administration because he had all these grandiose plans that he wanted, aside from building the headquarters for Panchin Bigo, they wanted to put in gas station and some kind of mall and something else, right? But those were the plans and the intentions of the Pan-Trinbago administration led by Patrick Arnold. Since then, they've had a number of other presidents, the most recent, of course, being Beverly Ramsey Moore. And the thing is, he and Annie Roberts keep talking about what the Pan movement could do with the land and all, but it's been 20-something years. 20-something years and nothing has happened. And the kind of grandiose plans that they have, Panchin Bigo does not have the money for that. They don't. And unless the government steps in and says, well, okay, we're going to give the Pan movement millions and millions of dollars for them to build these things, it is not going to happen. They've not been able to raise that kind of money and the capital that is needed unless they could get some private partner to come in. But even if they do that, the private partner, if they're going to put out that kind of money, needs to get something in return. So listening to this clown, this lunatic, and his partner in crime, attacking Beverly Ramsey Moore, well, I know, because Roberts, he did the same thing too. He went after Beverly Ramsey Moore when during in the Senate, not in the Senate, sorry, in the Parliament, they had some joint select committee meeting or whatever it is, and Panchin Bigo had to come before the committee, and he grilled on that because apparently he was listening to the Underground Report, and they interviewed Fuad Abubakar and I can't remember, and I think Dane Goldstone or something like that, and they inquired of them whether or not Beverly Ramsey Moore would have consulted the membership of the Pan fraternity before the decision was made to trade the land in Orange Grove for their new headquarters on Ryson Road. For those of you who know the building, it's a pink building on the same side with the Hyatt. So after you pass the Hyatt, there's a car park, and then there's a pink building on your left-hand side with a sign that says Lands and Fisheries and something. A big pink building. Can't miss it. It's right there. Prime real estate. Prime real estate on Ryson Road. And as Randall Mitchell would have mentioned during his contribution, if you were to do a valuation of that property that Pancho Bigo is getting. So right now, as he pointed out, Pancho Bigo is renting. They're renting a building for their headquarters at, I think, 70,000 a month or something like that. And here it is, this government has now come and given them this prime piece of property that they could use for the headquarters and not have to pay any money in rent. But he have a problem with that. He finds they should continue to rent, as they have been doing for the last 20-something years since they get this land. Money that could be used to develop the headquarters now. He and Roberts find they should continue to rent and scrunt until they could get the money that they need to at least finish. Now, as Beverly Ramsey Moore would have told the committee, that building, that thing that you see on the highway there, she said it is now the structural integrity is compromised. So they can't even use that, because she had indicated an intention for the Pan fraternity to raise the money to at least finish the headquarters. But she said what is there, and given the length of time, that cannot be used. And therefore, if they are going to use it, it's going to cost a lot of money to reinforce, or they will have to demolish it and start all over. Now, I think they said that had cost $10 million, right? $10 million, remember? And when Kamala was prime minister, she said, well, we'll give them another $7 million to finish it, just to finish that. But what else? What about the rest? So now they have a prime piece of real estate, and once it is that title is transferred to them, they could probably go, if they could afford to be paying $70,000 a month now for rent, they could approach the bank and get a mortgage and be able to develop the property, gut it, do what they have to do, and get it working, and maybe even extend it. But their argument, this lunatic, right? He and Anna Roberts talking about, you have this property right on the highway there, and when tourists come into the country and they leave the airport and they come in down there, they could go inside this there, and it's so close to the airport and whatnot. How many tourists doing that? Really? When you come off the plane and you jump in a taxi, and those taxis that they taking charging plenty money, right? Because I remember one time when I went abroad and I came back, and I didn't have anybody to pick me up. And I had gone away for it was an extended period of time. So I didn't leave my car in the airport because that car park bill would have been significant. So I said, you know what, I'll just take a taxi when I came. I think that was when I came back from China. And I decided to take a taxi from the airport. And I don't live far from the airport. I probably live about 10, 15-minute drive from the airport. And they charged me $150 from the airport to get home. Right there, $150. So if you come, you really feel any tourist going and stop off there, and then the taxi going and charge you extra money? No. But he doesn't think it's a good idea to have the Pancho Bigo headquarters right opposite the cruise ship complex. So that when cruise ship season starts and all these people come in, and the cruise ships coming in, right? And the tourists come off the boat, that they could come right there, just cross the road to the Pan Museum. And you can have all kind of paraphernalia there for them to buy. If they want to buy a little steel pan, they don't have to go far. They could buy it and just walk back to the cruise ship and put it in their room. As opposed to, if the tourists who come on the cruise ship, right? If the headquarters is up in Golden Grove or Orange Grove or whatever it is, you feel they're going to take a taxi to say, well, I want to go to the Pancho Bigo headquarters, so let me take a taxi to go all the way up to Orange Grove. Really? There's a greater likelihood that Pancho Bigo could benefit from tourism where the new headquarters is going to be, as opposed to where it was supposed to be. Because even if you want to put forward the argument that when the tourists come in, they could stop off there from the airport, how many of them are going to do that? 5? 10? When they come off the plane and they just want to go to their room, go to their hotel, whatever, and get settled in and so on. Or they pass, oh, what is this nice building there? Okay, yeah. Taxi driver, how much is it going to cost just to make a stop inside it? The luggage already in the vehicle. So even if they want to buy a steel pan to go back with, how they carrying that back? And they are here, they come in here based on a plane. How they taking it back? So if it is the vehicle have all the luggage in it, so it have no place to put the steel pan anyway, even if they wanted to buy one, to go back. But cruise ship, you come off the cruise ship, where your room is, you cross the road, Pancho Bigo headquarters right there, all kind of thing you could buy, And then you just walk back across the road, you go and you put it down in your room, and then you proceed to go and explore Port of Spain, or Maracas Beach, or jump in the maxi, and for whatever tours you might have paid for and enjoy yourself. But for this lunatic and his partner in crime, that don't make no sense. That don't make no sense. So in Panchenbego now could just outfit this building. The building is there. It might just be to gut the inside and arrange it to suit their own needs. But he talking about all that space could only facilitate administration. Really? This clown. How much administrative space does Panchenbego really need? How much? They were renting a small building at one time opposite Victoria Square, called Victoria Square, and I forget the name of that street, where the NAR head office used to be there. They were renting there for a little while, then they were across the road at one point in time by, I think, forgetting the name of that thing, at Victoria Square Plaza or something. So just across Victoria Square on the other side, where PEP headquarters is now. They were renting at one time a room, a little space upstairs there, for those of you who remember. And they were quite comfortable, and this building is significantly bigger than that space. So to listen to them trying to pour cold water because it hurting them. All the love he love for Pan. What did he do when they were in office? I'm gonna play random, which I'll just know feel to hear, right? But they vex because if you go, gosh, boy, the Pan movement might come on the side of the PNM. So he want Beverly Ramsey more to go, probably because they perceive Beverly to be PNM, right? Or because she take up this offer. Miss me with that BS for me, please. So two things have happened. Panchenbego now has a head office that they own. I don't think title has been transferred yet, but it's probably in the process. And the PAN has now been declared the national instrument of Trinidad and Tobago. So those two things have happened. Great. Them vex. Because things happen, and I would have told you all since last year, a lot of stuff is going to be happening between then and 2025 when the general election comes along, which is going to improve the PNM stocks. And we saw evidence of that in the recently concluded by-elections in both districts, where the PNM would have won Lengua Indian Walk significantly and would have increased their vote count in Kamla Prasad Bises's constituency by some 200%. So they still don't know how to answer to that. I ain't see the Douglas do a single live, he ain't no doubles and coffee and that. He ain't touched that with a 100-foot pole. I wonder why. Let me play Randall Mitchell for you guys.
Mr. President, Senator Naked says he loves PAN. Mr. President, you know, in the other place, when I did this, I became a little rambunctious. A little below the standard that I usually uphold. And you know I uphold very high standards. I became a little rambunctious, and I don't want to become so today. But Senator Naked says he loves PAN. You know, if it is Senator Naked loves PAN, I rue the day, for example, if somebody invites Senator Naked to a wedding and gives him a microphone and asks him to say a few words. Union boss from the start, you know. If you love PAN. Senator Naked went about his entire contribution. And you know, his entire contribution was everything about himself. About me. I know PAN. I love PAN. You don't love PAN more than I love PAN. You don't care about PAN. I love PAN. I love Desperados. Whoever else you love, well, we don't care about you. And you know, it was so trite and so childish. I mean, we sat here and we listened to him. You know, it's like, you know, Mr. President, it's like when you're in primary school. And you know, two children, I mean, you and your colleague, my daddy car better than yours. No, my daddy car better than yours. I know more about America than you. I know more about PAN than you. Mr. President, this is not about knowing more than anybody else about PAN. This is not about being inside the Desperados, the bowels. This is not about that. Okay, you love Desperados more than I love Desperados. I respect Desperados. I love every steel band in Trinidad and Tobago. Every single one. As a matter of fact, the people of Parliamentary would always laugh because every time I go into a pan yard, I declare, I am a Desmas man or I am a Renegades man. I always declare it and I collect my t-shirts. I collect my t-shirts. I love all. The pan I support, a very little, somewhat unknown pan side, steel band in Pleasantville, Calamo Kings, I support them. So while they asked Senator Nakid for support and he declined them support, Calamo Kings in their t-shirts, they wear my logo on their backs. A company I own. I would also say to Senator Nakid, Senator Nakid, don't feel sorry for me. Never feel sorry for your intellectual superiors. Never. You start bad there. Senator Nakid also spoke about when the UNC comes back in power. When the UNC comes back in power, we will give you $1,000. We will give you more money when the UNC comes back together in power. And you know, it is always, it's a signal that the UNC always gives. Bring us back in power, we go give you more money. Bring us back in power, we go give you more Panman more money. But Panman don't make $500. Government offers and gives $500. A Panman makes more than that. Panman makes more than that. And if you don't know that, you don't know Pan. But we accept, and we will always strive for Panmen to make more and more money. We want that on this side. We want that. But this is not about, you see, that's what they're doing. Sit up like Massa and say, we'll give you more money, vote for us. We'll give you more money, vote for us. And when they're in power, hey, we're giving you this money. If you don't vote for us, we're going to get nothing. That's what they do. But that's not what we do. It is about empowering the steel band movement. It is about empowering steel band sides, walking hand in hand with them to ensure that they are in control of themselves and are able to dictate their future. It's to make them independent, not dependent on the state. And that is why today we had to be very firm. And with many of our non-governmental organizations, such as Parliamentary, and Parliamentary is one of the leaders, they have their audited financial accounts. You know what it is to have audited financial accounts? To show that you are accounting to all of the sponsors, to the government, to everybody who contributes. And what you did today, Senator Nakid, of course, you didn't take note from, of course, the very experienced Senator Mark. What you did in your presentation is that you denigrated the entire PAN movement. You denigrated it. And that is what we always strive not to do. Create no bacchanal in PAN, because there's not been bacchanal in PAN for the last 5 or 6 years. And you know what that has done? All of the sponsors have come lining up, wanting to become a part, fighting to get involved in PAN again. That is what that has done. That is what that has done. You know, he speaks about, you know, members have spoken about the badjonism. And what they don't mention, it is Dr. Eric Williams, father of the nation, It was PNM policy to go into the pan yards, to speak with the pan movement, to get rid of this whole bad John culture. It is the PNM that did that. It is the PNM that encouraged and brought sponsors into the pan movement. It is the PNM that got these steel bands to organize themselves, move away from the bad journalism, accept the value that you can create in the communities. Accept that is the PNM. And of course, as he declares his love for the Desperados Spaniard, and as my colleague Senator Hislop indicated, it is the PNM that built the one up on top the hill, and it is the PNM that spent $20 million to build the one down in the center of Port of Spain. But the UNC is the PNM, and it is the best panyard in all of the world. Best. And it was 13 million, the first price. And then we extended it because Desperados wanted an extension because they indicated that it would give them a little more sustainability. They could do more with the car park and so on. And we did that. We did that for Desperados, Mr. Desperados. Ungratefulness worse than witchcraft. Mr. President, you know, we talking about the UNC will bring pan manufacturing. Hey, that is a place for the private sector. What the government does, if you don't know about government policies, government incentivizes, they are facilitators, they create an enabling environment. And it is the same Minister of Trade and Industry who you like to insult, and her incentives created a whole pan manufacturer in the form of Midco, making Trinidad and Tobago proud all over. I mean, the pan case comes in a Trinidad and Tobago flag. That is government, PNM government incentives that did that. And IP. Senator Vieira, we have been doing some work in IP. But by the very nature of the work that you do in IP, it has to be secret and it has to be confidential. Because you see, in this country, there are some unpatriotic infidels. And they often wear yellow. And I don't have to call the acronym. So you can't discuss it. Because the very nature, you have to keep it secret. So let's talk about this land business now. You know, he spoke about Fuad Abubakar. Fuad Abubakar. You know, Mr. President, Fuad Abubakar is not even a member of a steel band. He's not even a member of the steel band, so he's not a member of Pan Trinbago. He is not a member. The steel band he claims to be associated with Bush Tall High School. He is not a member of the steel band. You have to be a member. Pan Trinbago is governed by a constitution. You have to be a member. And if you read the constitution and you understand the constitution, decisions are made in a particular way. But Fuad Abubakar told him something about the government taking away Pan Trinbago land. Okay, let's go into that. So, Eric Williams of the PNM gave the National Steel Band Association, which is the predecessor to Pan Trinbago, 2 acres of prime property in Chagaramas in 1974. 2 acres of prime property, waterfront. Chagaramas. In comes the UNC. Hustle the people out of their prime property down in Chagaramas. In fact, I believe they're still paying the water rate, Pan Trinbago that is, for the property down in Chagaramas, but they hustle them out take it back to the CDA. So I have an article in my hand written by Terry Joseph, published in the Express, 18th of November 2001. The title is PM, Government Will Build PAN Headquarters. At the handing over ceremony over a parcel of land to PAN Trinbago, Prime Minister Basdeo Pandey stated that his government would fund the cost of constructing the organization's headquarters on the site. In his feature address, Pandey stated, "You come up with the plan for your headquarters and I will find the money to build it." The 8-acre parcel of land is located along the Churchill-Roosevelt Highway. You pass by the Churchill-Roosevelt Highway and see what was left there? That is UNC. Are you talking about Mamagayan people? Mamagayan the Pan Man? That is UNC. Let us fast forward, please, because we don't have much time, to 2011. The Express by Cherise Moe. The title is PAN Trinbago to get $7 million to finish its headquarters. This is in 2011. Around the same time, was it around? No, it was 2013 when he was calling the UNC Morass. 2 years before. In the Express, Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar says government has allocated $7 million for the completion of PAN Trinbago's headquarters in Trin City. Construction at the facility. Prime Minister made the announcement on Tuesday during her visit to Petrotrin Phase 2 Pan Groove Panyard, Woodbrook. She also visited 4 other panyards: Whitco, Desperados, All Stars, Cal Invaders, and Exodus, where she met with spectators and took pictures and so on. This was in 2011. Senator Naked, did the then government, was the member for Saparia's promise ever fulfilled? Did they get $7 million to finish its headquarters? I will let you know, and give you away. You'll tell me. Okay, I changed my mind. And you know, you're sitting next to Senator Jolene John. You know, Jolene John, Senator John knows all about this because Udicott was involved. Udicott was involved. Udicott was involved in the Mama Guy. Also in 2011, this was in Jayoti Communication, an article in Jayoti Communication. Also confirming that government has allocated $7 million. Well, we know government never allocated, never gave it to PAN Trinbago, nothing was built. But here's what is very instructive. PAN Trinbago was part of the administration, this is Persad-Bissessar saying, member for Saparia, was part of the administration that allocated the lands to PAN Trinbago. These are the lands in Trin City. In our last administration, I was the Minister of Legal Affairs, and I had control of the lands registry, and I was given that blessing to give to PAN Trinbago the lands for the PAN headquarters. That was more than 10 years ago. Let us fast forward to 2023, because you heard it from the Honorable Prime Minister, then Prime Minister, member for Saparia's lips, that she was the one who executed this desire to give PAN Trinbago this land in Trin City. Fast forward to 2023, and I can give you a little backstory. PAN Trinbago, looking to understand their status on the land, because they don't have any documents. There was a gentleman named Peter Kanhai, who was the Assistant General Secretary of PAN Trinbago. They booted him out, yes. They booted him out of office, and he kept all the documents to himself, refusing to reveal or to deliver up any of the documents to Pan Trinbago. So what does Pan Trinbago do? They go to a law firm and say, Mr. Law Firm, can you do some searches for us? We need to understand what is our status on this land. So they go to Keystone Law, and on the 15th of March 2023, they are given an opinion. Now, Mr. President, I just told you, the member for Saparia was part of the administration, Minister of Legal Affairs, and had control of the lands registry and was given the blessing to give Pan Trinbago the land for the Pan headquarters. Here's what the opinion says. Report on title. A perusal of the mother's certificate of title in the name of Orange Grove National Company Limited in volume 1995, folio 253. It's RPO land, if you don't know. Shows that a certificate of title for the subject parcel of land in favor of Pan Trinbago, Inc., TC, was never issued by the Registrar General of Trinidad and Tobago. As such, transaction is not endorsed thereon. Go further. In fact, to date, there are 95 endorsements on the mother certificate of title showing leases from the Orange Grove National Company Limited to various parcels of the larger parcel of land at Tacarigua to several lessees. But none of these endorsements show that Pan Trinbago Inc. TC is a lessee. And we know that. We know that a lot of other people have title to land in that area. They have leases. It goes on to conclude. The current position as regards the subject parcel of land, this is the land down in Trin-City, is that Pan Trinbago Inc. TC does not have any legal ownership of the subject parcel of land, and as such is not in a position to conduct any legal transactions or have legitimate dealings concerning same without the relative certificate of title. Rambunctious says as Rambunctious does. I didn't want to read this here, you know, but I have to correct the record. And I have to show the steel pan movement, pan people outside of there, what the UNC is and what they stand for. That is what we do. That is what we do. And of course, we, in discussions with Pan Trinbago and having those discussions, we've decided to put a cricket academy on. And we've discussed it with Pan Trinbago. And in those discussions, we say, Pan Trinbago, you have a piece of land here for 23, 24 odd years. You have not done anything with it. There is a monstrosity on the site. The steel, not good. People cutting out the steel and selling the steel. They're selling the steel as scrap iron. You can't manage the land. But here's what. We don't think that you should be down in Trin-City down there. Pan was created in East Port of Spain, in the capital city, and therefore the world governing body, the headquarters for steel pan of the world, should be in the capital city. And where did we allocate them in exchange? On Wrightson Road, by the old post office building. If you are to do a valuation on that land, and you are to write out the value of the valuation of that land, Senator Naked will stumble 3 times before he could call out those digits. That is what they have done. And we will continue to develop the steel pan movement and work side by side and promote the steel pan in Trinidad and Tobago. You're talking about pan in schools. Let me read another article because you now come. And it seems as though your ability to look backwards is an inability. So let's go. An article in the Express, will we restore pan in schools? And it is written by a Mervyn Critchlow. I know Mervyn Critchlow. I think he was attached to the Ministry of Education at some point in time. And he goes on to say, the nucleus of a pan in the classroom unit at the Ministry of Education was developed and specially qualified tutors hired to teach pupils the rudiments of the pan. A course in the making of pan was incorporated into the ministry's curriculum through the Caribbean vocational qualifications. The process of establishing steel orchestras in school was nevertheless pedantic, very slow. But here's what he says, Mr. President. The pan in the classroom project received a fatal blow in 2011 when it was discontinued and the process of putting steel orchestras in the schools continued to limp along. 2011. Sound and fury, but at least know exactly what you are talking about when you come and put things on the Hansard. And while they will boast about giving pan all this big amount of money, Mr. President, I think I glimpsed you, but maybe I didn't. Panorama semi-finals 2024 was perhaps the biggest panorama in all of its history. The firemen were coming and threatening to shut down the entire thing because there was simply too many people in this smaller space. We now have to consider, do we move back the North Stand and create more spaces, create a bigger stage, put larger screens to accommodate all the people who want to come to see and to experience panorama? You talk about pan in schools and we take away pan in schools. You know what threatens panorama semifinals as the biggest event in Carnival? The secondary schools panorama final and the junior panorama final. Mr. President, it is so large that you see when the primary schools finish, we have to tell all the parents, all the teachers of all the primary schools, you have to leave, or else the firemen will shut it down. It is too large, and all of these young citizens of Trinidad and Tobago come out and they cheer and they scream.
Right, so you can always get the rest of Senator Mitchell's contribution on the Parliament channel. I know they would have shown a replay last night, which is when I looked at it, but you can also go on the PAL View on YouTube. The Parliament has its own YouTube channel, and you can go there and you will be able to see the entirety of Senator Mitchell's contribution and that of the other senators. I also listened to Suniti Maharaj, Independent Senator Suniti Maharaj, and if I'm wrong, I stand to be corrected. But in listening to her contribution, it almost seemed as if she was advocating for another instrument to be named national instrument alongside the steel pan, so that it could be, everybody could feel included. While she didn't mention any specific instrument, but when you listen to her, the gist of what she was saying, yes, it is great that the pan is there, but we want everybody to feel included and nobody to feel left out. So is it that that pan is seen to be associated with only one particular section of society or one particular ethnicity, and everybody else will feel left out? So we need to include some other instrument as well, so that another side of the society can feel included. Because I'm sure when you go to pan semi-finals, you don't only see persons of one particular ethnic group there, right? It's diverse. In fact, that's probably one of the national events where you would see persons of practically every ethnicity in Trinidad and Tobago. So this thing about people will feel, you don't want nobody to feel sidelined and feel left out. Why? It's a national instrument because the pan may have been invented by someone of a particular ethnicity, that means that it belongs only to or should be associated only with. Sometimes I listen to these men and women of letters and I wonder, what really going on in the upstairs? Because that's not making no sense to me. And I've heard some talk that that the TASA should be named national instrument as well. The TASA didn't originate here. It didn't. So then what's your argument? But, you know, to each his own, yes, but you know what the agenda is, and they could continue to along that path. But sometimes some of these independent senators have me wondering really, whether or not they're really independent. And if it is that they too can be considered to be echo chambers for the other party. I call no names, but it's good to listen to the Parliament channel sometimes and listen to the contributions of some of these people, and it really leaves you to wonder. So there was also another debate in the Parliament on that same day, dealing with the bail bill. And I was waiting with bated breath to see if Senator Jayanti Lakshmi would speak. And she did. And the hypocrisy of Senator Lakshmi, I'm not surprised though. Interestingly, she said some things which had me wondering. Because, first of all, she blocked me. She and I had a little exchange on her Facebook page. Because I visit from time to time. Because I made the point the other day that normally anything that Kamala Prasad-Bissessar shares on her Facebook page, Jayanti Lakshmi would repost. But when it is Kamala had posted back in March, her press release where she was condemning a master of the court for granting bail to a man who was on bail for murder and was found to be in possession of a stolen vehicle. And he also got bail, and Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar was criticizing the master and was calling for the master of the court to be investigated because of another bail application where Prasad-Bissessar felt that the bail was too small. I think it was 10,000 or something based on in relation to the crime that was committed. Jayanti didn't repost that. So, and when I did my live back on Tuesday and I raised that issue, so I decided to go and visit Jayanti's page, as I do from time to time to see. And lo and behold, only to realize that the godly lady has blocked me. For what? You put out something, I visited your page and I make a comment. She replied to my comment. We had a little exchange and whatnot and stuff, and that was it. There wasn't nothing, I wouldn't insult her or anything, just normal. But you see that what she don't like is when she puts out posts. Sometimes I will just go and insert an article, copy and paste an article that contradicts what she says, or put in something, go and research and put in some newspaper article or something that shows the hypocrisy of the UNC. Right? And once you put that there and you do it early, that's the strategy. Do it early. So that is one of the top comments, so that anybody else coming in afterwards, especially supporters of the UNC, seeing what the facts are and showing up how hypocritical Senator Lakshmi-Diyal's post is, they don't know what to do. They don't like that. So I'm blocked. And she blocked the debunking UNC lies with facts page as well. So neither of these. So I don't know what's happening on her Facebook page. And I'm not inclined to go and create another profile to be able to see what she posted, right? So if those of you who still have access, you all would have access, right? But the hypocrisy of Senator Lakshmi to come and talk about, well, they're supporting the legislation now because of certain amendments that were made, and now it is good legislation. Rubbish. Absolute rubbish. But that is how she tries to save face. And if you look at her contribution, she was very cocky with it. Well, I want to debate, well, right, let me debate. As if, she's the best debater. As I've always said, every time Lakshmi-Diyal Ramdiyal does or makes a contribution in the Senate, is really a show for Kamala Prasad-Bissessar to keep her there as a senator, because Kamala has changed senators like if she changed in underwear. When the mood, whatever mood she in, so you could be a senator today and then by tomorrow you're replaced. We would have seen that with Sean Sobers and others and the like, right? People like, I can't remember this guy's name. But anyway, so there's always a show for her. And if you see my girl gallery and herself and so on, and so naked, and I think Lida kept shouting across the aisle and whatnot, with the loud rambunctious selves. So the president of the Senate had to get up on several occasions to ask them to take it down, because every time he gets onto his legs, Ramdiyal, who is very pregnant, she had to sit down and then get up and sit down and get up. And so the president was basically saying, look, I don't want to have to keep getting up every minute to intervene to provide protection for Senator Lakshmi Dayal Ramdayal because in her condition, having to sit down, stand up, and so on. So the president is expressing concern for her. But in defense of her colleagues who were showing unparliamentary behavior, she's like, Mr. President, I have stamina and whatnot and stuff. And yeah, they want to debate, well, I could get them debating. And then she comes to talk about, well, the only reason why they support it now is because of certain amendments that the government brought this time, and they could have done that since 2020 and all of that. And now it all of a sudden is good legislation, giving the population the impression that the issue they had last year before 2020 was there were certain things in the bill that didn't agree with, and now that the government has brought amendments and rubbish. And the evidence is there to show, as I read for you all the other day, the issue that they had last year and before that was their main contention. They were saying the law was not working because the police statistics, based on the number of persons who would have been denied bail or who would have been arrested under the bail bill and all of these different things, showed that not enough people were being arrested and that the law wasn't being applied to enough persons. That was there because they're saying the issue is crime detection and that the bail bill is not helping to fight crime because the police not locking up enough people to come before the court to apply for bail. So why do we have this law on the books which says that if you are a repeat offender and that you committed a certain crime before, you were convicted of a crime before for which the penalty is at least 10 years, and that you are now caught and you come before the court on another crime, that you are to be denied bail in the first instance for 120 days. So you cannot apply for the first 120 days, right? And they were saying that is draconian, it's a draconian bill and it's impinging on the constitutional rights of the citizens. 120 days. But guess what? One of the amendments to this bill, right? She's saying it's because of these amendments and it's now good law and it was 120 days and all said it was draconian. 120 has now been increased to 180 days, right? So an additional 2 months, 60 days added on to it. So 120 was draconian. So what is 180? A gianty was 180 days. That's not draconian, but 120. But when you're talking in terms of mathematics, less is more and more is less. So apparently 120 days is more than 180. So we had a problem at 120 days being denied the ability to apply for bail for the first 120 days, but be okay with 180. And she coming to tell you, well, it's because they made certain amendments. BS. That was never your contention. It was always about statistics, and Kamala wanted data. The same thing they did with the anti-gang legislation. We want the data, and we want to see if the law is working. When Munilal came in his contribution in the lower house and talking about the information or the data that I have before me here, the police statistics with respect to the number of persons arrested under the anti-gang legislation reads like a binary card, 100110011. That was Munilal. The issue of statistics had nothing to do. They could have made recommendations. They could have suggested amendments in the same way that they did with the civil asset forfeiture bill, right? Or the explain your wealth bill. They were adamant they were not going to support that. No way, no day, because they said the government would use that to persecute UNC supporters and UNC members. That's what they said. They refused. The Friday, Wade Mark said, we're not supporting that at all. No way. We will fight the government. And if they pass this bill, we'll take it to the court. Monday morning, Kamala come with 67 amendments. Changing may, where they have may, change me to shall and shall to may. Change a comma into a full stop. Change a semicolon into whatever. Right? And then they come with that. And the government agreed, okay, yeah, we'll change this. We'll put a full stop here instead of a comma and whatnot and stuff and do that. And we just take out this word and then put whatever. Right? And after that, we supported, all of a sudden it's good law. Because we changed a few punctuation marks, it is good law now. We will support it. Because they realized they were getting licks from the wider society. There was no explanation they could give as to why you would not support explain your wealth. Because the opinion the public had, they didn't want to have that bill passed because they didn't want to have to explain the ill-gotten gains. Those who came in 2010, according to Jack Warner, couldn't afford 2 doubles and a red solo, but left office with multiple homes, multiple cars, all kind of property, and they bank book looking fat. And they didn't want to have that law passed, to have them scrutinized. All of the contractors that they made multi-millionaires, all who were on the brink of bankruptcy in 2010. But at the end of 2015, them as best contractor They didn't want Barry to have to explain the $3 million in Mommy account, right? Mommy, who was a housewife, knew nothing about running a business, but in 2011, she and her son opened a business and getting millions of dollars, taxpayers' dollars, government money in contracts, beating out companies that have been in existence for years, with years of experience, bidding for contracts, and the companies that had the experience, whose bids were much lower, lost out to Barry and Imami, who had the highest bids, zero experience. So Explain Your Wealth would have called on them. Barry Mami would have had to explain where she get that money from. The $3 million that was in her bank account and how much millions that was on her, that was put in as lump sums into her life insurance policy in an attempt to hide money. That was the issue. They didn't want to have that exposed and to have Mami exposed to these things. And when it is water more than flour, they come with 67 inconsequential amendments to say, well, this is why we're supporting it now, because now it's good law. What they had before wasn't good. So a comma and a full stop turned bad law into good law. But when they were in office and you had Anand Ram Logan as Attorney General piloting bills and having bills passed, the children's bill, right? Just one example. He's the best Attorney General, best lawmaker. If they had no lawyer like Anand, he's the best lawyer Trinidad and Tobago ever seen. But as soon as he left office as Attorney General and this administration came in, they come to sue the state for bad legislation, legislation which you piloted, legislation which was drafted under him as Attorney General. So all of the deficiencies in this legislation, he couldn't see that when he was Attorney General. But all of a sudden, right, when he was Attorney General, he had, when it came to identifying these deficiencies in the law, was glaucoma and cataract. He couldn't see. But as soon as he leave office and this administration came in, my boy get 20/20 vision. No longer does he need glasses. No longer does he need contact lenses. He could see. Vision perfect. All of a sudden, he could see all of the issues in the law. To go and sue the state now so he could continue to feed off the treasury outside of office. So whether they're inside or outside, they benefited. Right? So to listen to the hypocrisy of Jayanti Lakshmi Dayal Ramdayal, and I hear talking anything about, they want to blame, you have their social media trolls and them blaming me and blaming Anand and for people getting bail for murder and whatnot. So who else to blame, Jayanti? Who else to blame? Who petitioned the court for that? I wonder who she referring to as social media trolls. Maybe that's why I wonder if it's us, because you block debunk it and you block me. So speaks volumes, huh? And she free to come and log on and look, take a peep. Yeah. No always blaming. Yeah, it's not her fault and it's not Anand's fault and it's not Kamala's fault and they only blaming her. So what's the blame? For 105 years, if you committed murder, you couldn't get bail. Now today you could apply for bail. Some of these guys committing the most heinous of murders and getting bail. But you come in to talk about now with this new, with the amended legislation, it respects the separation of powers. And it preserves the discretion of judicial officers to grant bail. But your political leader, your boss, who has you in the Senate, sought to criticize judicial discretion when it is she called for this master of the court to be investigated because this master of the court granted bail to a man who was already on bail for murder and was found to be in possession of a stolen vehicle. But you want to come and talk about, sometimes you have to look at the circumstances and the backstory for some of these people. And it's not just to deny them bail just so because it may not be their fault or whatever in cases. So she talked about, gave an example. And okay, I could support her on that point where she said, you had an instance where an individual was able to get bail who was on, and I think a murder charge and was able to get bail for some other offense because of shortcomings on the part of the police. That it took a whole year before the file was sent to the DPP and all this different thing. And so that was preventing the person from being able really to apply for bail or whatever as the case may be. And all of these things that holds up the process. So therefore, the magistrate or the master of the court did not have the benefit of certain documentation to be able to look. For instance, she talked about Anthony Carmona when he was a judge and he would request probationary reports and so on so that he could look at it and make a decision. Okay, I could understand in that instance. Fine. But this is the same person who come to tell you when you deny people bail, you create single-parent households. So when they were going to commit the crime, they didn't study that, but you know, if I get catch, I could get locked up. And then my children could be without a father. They weren't studying that. They didn't think about that. When they go to commit home invasions and shoot people, you feel they study, wait, if I shoot this man when they catch me, there's a murder charge. You know? They ain't studying, well, if I kill this man, his children will be without a father. His wife will be without a husband. If I kill this man, I am going to create a single parent home. And whereas if I am caught, I could still get bail, and that my home would be single parent for but a short time. If I take this person's life as permanent because it didn't have no comeback, as Karina Ashe sang in a calypso back when she performed some years ago on 12 and Under. A man is not a cartoon character that you could easily make over. So when you slit his throat or his skull you crack, you can't eat flour and make him back. A man is not a cartoon character that you could easily make over. So when you slit his throat and cause his family pain, he cannot come back again. You remember that song? So I pray that the Almighty would show us in TNT that every single member of the community belongs to a family. And every single life that you might take could be someone's husband or wife. You won't add to a family's pain and strife if you know the value of life. Right? I remember that calypso. One of Karina Ashe's very first calypso that she sang. I can't remember if she won 12 and Under with her. But you should go and play it and listen to the whole song, just about 2 or 3 verses she has in it. But a powerful calypso from a young Karina Ashe at that time. They don't study that. The giant is saying that, oh, she was a prosecutor. And I know there are people who she would have petitioned or she would have argued for them to be denied bail. And she knows some people who she would have from the time she was a prosecutor, that if she could go and put them in Woodford Square, line them up before the firing squad in Woodford Square and whatnot and so on. Really, Janty? The fact of the matter is that the supporters of your party out on a lurch. Because after you all beat down the bill, the last time, you offered no amendments. You didn't come and say, well, okay, we have an issue with this, and this is what we would recommend. In the same way that Kamala could have come with 67 inconsequential amendments with respect to the civil asset forfeiture bill, you all could have come with amendments too, the last time. But you know what? Anything that could help the police treat with the crime situation, anything, we're not about that life. We're not about doing anything, passing any legislation that could see a reduction in the amount of murders, so therefore that the PNM could get a fillip with respect to their political chances. We're not about that. So I would challenge ask the Attorney General in the next session, because I think Parliament is now on recess. When they come back, bring back the anti-gang bill and let's see what they will see. Let's see if they will support it. Because she supported the bill in the Senate begrudgingly, talking about, well, what did she say, boy? I can't remember the term she used. But basically to say they gave the PNM and they gave the government over the last year or so a blind, so to speak, or an excuse, so that they could say, well, the reason why crime is out of control is because the UNC is supporting this legislation and the UNC not supporting that legislation. So she says, well, we support the legislation now. Let me see who will ever blame for the state of crime, because this not going to solve the crime problem. So let me see now who will ever blame. All they can say is Kamala and with that UNC in support and the UNC in support. That's one piece of legislation, madam. One. We still have the anti-gang legislation, which Gary Griffith, as Commissioner of Police, told us was a major contributor in reducing the number of murders. I think it was sometime in 2020 or 2021, thereabouts, 2019, somewhere, right? The anti-gang legislation, which you all refused to support. And what's worse is that when they passed this legislation back in 2013 or thereabouts to deny bail, it was good law. All of the amendments that she's now saying that the government brought to make it good law, an acceptable law, didn't exist when they passed it in 2013 or thereabouts. So it was, but that was good law for them, right? That was good law. So it was good when they were there. They saw the need, they saw the benefits of it, but now they wanted to tell it ain't good. In the same law, all the government came to do was to ask for an extension of the same law that you all passed. We're just asking you to extend it for another, how many months, 18 months or whatever it is. No, we're not supporting that. Your own law, you refuse to support. But want to come to tell us now you needed amendments to it to improve it. And you need to preserve the judicial discretion and the discretion of the judicial officers to be able to grant bail. Rubbish. But that is what you will give your supporters so that they could go and talk that talk and say, well, it's a new bill, it's not the same bill and all of that. That's what it's touting. To fool who? You could fool the waterfront ilk. But the rest of us out here, we didn't come down on the last shower rain. Somebody needs to let giant and they know that. You see this. Right. See. So Mr. Chan sent me this. Let me just read this quickly from Mr. Buinan Moransi. And this is in respect of Pancho Vigo, right? So it says, Madam President Beverly Ramsey Moore, delegates, including myself, who represented their respective steel bands and attended the constituted meetings, thus far, gave you and the central executives a mandate to move forward in respect of the lands at Twin City and a new location for our headquarters. We have been consulted and are very pleased with the present status. So contrary to what Mr. Naked would have said in the Senate, that, and again, this is based, what he said is based on an interview that was done on the Underground Report with Fuad Abubakar, and I think the other name they mentioned was Dave Goldstone, claiming that these gentlemen indicated that no meeting was held and that the membership never authorized Beverly Ramsey Moore and they to swap the land in Twin City for this building on Ryson Road. But as you heard, Randall Mitchell mentioned just now, legal title was never passed to Pancho Vigo. And while between the time period when the Pandey administration supposedly gave this land to Pancho Vigo and now, up to 2023, there have been 95 lease endorsements. 95. There are other tenants in that area. You have Lensil, you have the Land Settlement Agency, you have Blue Waters. We're talking right now, I see Massey. Massey is building a massive, I think it's Massey. There's a big piece of construction taking place, which I was told is supposed to be a Massey warehouse. But you have a number of businesses in that area on both sides of the highway. And they are saying that leases would have been given out, some 95 lease endorsements since Pancho Vigo. But up to now, Pancho Vigo can't get nothing. They have nothing. And the Peter Kanhai name that they heard mentioned, there was at one point in time, I think just quite recently, I don't know if he still is, I think might have been recently, was I think chairman of the UNC, right? Chairman of the UNC, but Beverly Ramsey Moore, they have nothing in hand. So all they have is lip service from the likes of Naked and Robert's talking about Pancho Vigo and Pandey get them land, and Pandey get them land. Where the document? Where the documents to prove? So based on the legal opinion that Pancho Vigo sought and paid for, they are being told, hey, you can't do nothing there now. Right now, well, they're squatting. Pancho Vigo squatting on that land because you have no legal title. They do all your mama guy thing and they had big ceremony and say they given all their land, and never Kamala Prasad Visesa, who want to boast that she was Minister of Legal Affairs at the time and the land registry would have fallen under her. Did absolutely nothing to ensure that the lease for that land was vested in Pancho Vigo. This is what you all just heard from Randall Mitchell there, and not a squeak come from the other side. Lunatic, naked. You hear he get up to see him shout anything across about that is a lie. None of them after could have get up and speak. None of them, not one of them. You see any of them do any live afterwards to come and say that the land was vested and that what Randall Mitchell said was untrue? No, because they know it's not true. And if they think they could just go and ask Mr. Kanhai, who is very prominent in the UNC, just go and ask him and he could get them the backstory. You feel Nake didn't know that, but you come in the Senate to try and fool people and figure that Randall Mitchell didn't have the information. But he get caught with his pants down. That's why Randall Mitchell gave him a good spanking. And all he can be shouting, I'm still waiting for the intellectual superiority part. I'm still waiting for the intellectual superiority part. Idiot. I go on. It would seem, from what I'm hearing from Anil Roberts, that we are dumb and uneducated children in a classroom with a teacher who has a big whip. On the contrary, Anil Roberts, you are very much misinformed with misinformation. The delegates at Pancho Vigo consist of a cadre of intelligent personnel, teachers, engineers, doctors, lawyers, and accountants. Anil Roberts, your utterance is a disrespect to the delegates of Pancho Vigo. And we stand firm with you, Madam President Beverly Ramsey Moore, as we move forward in rebranding this organization, Pancho Vigo. President Beverly Ramsey Moore did not lie at the Joint Select Committee on Wednesday, May 15, 2024. She responded respectfully and correctly. The words there of Vernon Peter Moransi. Right? So I just put that on the record. So when they want to talk their rubbish, just let them know The information is out there. And as I keep telling them, when you want to lie, make sure the truth is well hidden. And he didn't expect that Randall Mitchell came armed with the information, because the talk has been out there about this land, and they take away Panchenbago land, and the Panchenbago is supposed to be an African thing, and that's what, and they're disrespecting the African community and all of that. And because, remember Satmaraj used to say, while the African beaten Pan, the East Indians were beaten book, right? And that is why the East Indians are doctors and lawyers and whatnot and stuff. But anyway, we know what their mindset is at with respect to the Pan. Sat never had any respect for Pan. That exchange between himself and Selwyn Kojo. I'll try and see if I find it. But they had no respect, no regard for Pan. Because of who they associated it with. But the Tabla and the Tassa and the let's call this other thing, boy. The Dolak and all of that. The Sitar and all, he had respect for that. But when it came to Pan, because as Randall Mitchell said, Pan was seen as being associated with Bajan. In the early days, when you hear this guy Blakey's song about Steel Pan Clash, it was a Bajan thing. So that is not for civilized people. Yeah, when you have your white handle razor in your back pocket and them kind of thing, the man who used to work on the port, they like to talk about the man who used to work on the port and all they used to study is wine, woman, and song. Those were the people they associated with Pan. But the decent, upstanding citizens, now Pan being played all over the world, even in the White House and all, being played. We have respect for Pan. But they didn't have the common sense and the wherewithal then talking about where the patent for the Pan, and you heard Randall Mitchell talk about IP, intellectual property, and the things that are being done to treat with that, to address that situation with respect to Trinidad and Tobago having intellectual property rights for the steel pan. Because it's respected all over the world. All over the world. It is embraced. But all this clown, this lunatic that I find to talk about in the parliament, talk about Rudolph Charles, that was the uncle, and who was the nenen, and who was the godfather, and all of that. And he grew up around Pan and Pan. You heard Randall Mitchell say, all he talk about is I. But if you want to hear it, you could go on the Parliament channel on YouTube and listen to it. Listen to that lunatic rant for about 40 minutes. Pack of nonsense. What Kamala will do when she come back and they will give the Pan men money and give the Pan fraternity money. They came in 2010. In 2011, they tried to mama guy the cultural movement when it came to Carnival. $2 million first prize for Calypso Monarch. $2 million first prize for Soca Monarch. $2 million first prize for Panorama finals and so on. They did that for 1 year. And they come in, big thing, look. As Randall Mitchell said, we'll give all your money. Put me in office and we'll give all your money. We're giving all your money. That's all. Try to bribe people for their votes. We'll give you a baby grant, $500 a month to make child. Come, we'll give all your money. We'll give you a food card. So rather than you give the people a hand up, you want to get them a handout. Boston, they gave out 48,000 food cards when they were in office. And that's a big, that for them, that is a big problem. We gave out 48,000 food cards. And how did you uplift these people? What you created was dependency. So they get in this food card now, all right, so I get a $500 or $600 a month, I can make that do, that will buy groceries or so and so, and I get a CPEP work, and the money with the CPEP, so that will work out to about maybe a little $2,500 a month. Let me see how I could normalize poverty, right? And see how I can fashion my life around this food card and the little money that I get in from CPEP. They created that dependency syndrome, moving the number up after they criticized CPEP. When Mr. Manning first brought it out, what they said, according to Kamala Persad, it is the intergenerational transfer poverty. She said that. She said no other political leader in the history of this country has ever been so unkind to their supporters as Patrick Manning was in creating CPEP. That is what he wanted to give his supporters. And Ram Logan said it was a loveless thing, that it definitely was not the intention of the forefathers of the PNM, that their supporters in this day and age should be cutting grass at the side of the road, because according to him, the forefathers of the PNM, their intention was everybody else was supposed to do that, but not PNM supporters. Yeah, so they're probably turning in their grave now to see that Manning created this program, this make work program for PNM supporters, as if no UNC supporters work in CPEP. Yeah, no UNC supporters who are contractors, but wouldn't speak about the main part of CPEP as Mr. Manning had intended, was supposed to create entrepreneurs. You come in, you are made a contractor, You're given a contract for 2 to 3 years for you to run this CPEP gang, and you make some money in the interim, establish a business, and at the end of that period, when your contract ends, you move on, and somebody else could come in and get the same opportunity. They don't ever talk about that, you know. But they came in after maligning CPEP. When they came in 2010, just over 5,000 persons employed in CPEP. When they left office in 2015, they had over 15,000 people employed in CPEP. But that wasn't the intergenerational transfer of poverty. What did they do to improve CPEP that made it better than what Mr. Manning put in place? So while the goodly misleader, the opposition, said that Mr. Manning, no other political leader in this country's history has ever been so unkind to their supporters, she come and increase it. Threefold. Yeah. But always they talk about the PNM and the PNM and the PNM always promoting dependency. But look at what the PNM is doing today. Look at what they're doing, all the opportunities that they are providing to promote entrepreneurship. But naked, that lunatic wouldn't come and talk about that. Boasting how he grew up in Laventille and all that and so on and so on. Well, why don't go back in Laventille and tell the youths in Laventille about all the programs that Foster Cummings and the Ministry of Youth Development have for them? Why don't go and do that? No, they're waiting to hear shooting so that you and Jolene can run up inside there and tell them, you see, there's what the PNM doing for all there. PNM and nothing for all there. They ain't care about all there. That's all they could do. But we'll never go and talk about it. But you know what? They will go in the UNC constituencies, go and tell them, hush, hush, behind closed doors. Hey, you see, that's a good program, you know. You could get 2 acres of land and $20,000 to start your business. And you're getting a starter home too. So make sure you go and flood the program, Go and flood it. So that those people in Beetham and Laventille, they're not interested in that. So they go and take the opportunities. Idiots. In the interest of time, let me get this other story here. Ram Logan's motion dismissed. Witness tampering case against former AG can start. I mean, it has been so long that some of us probably forgot that this matter was still before the court. The matter for which the goodly best lawyer in Trinidad and Tobago lost his work as Attorney General, fired by Kamala Prasad Bissessa in February of 2015, he along with Gary Griffith, over this issue, where it is he is accused or stands accused of witness tampering, where in a matter where he brought a private lawsuit against Dr. Rowley for certain statements that Dr. Rowley would have made on a political platform with respect to Section 34 and highlighting certain things that would have happened when Mr. Ram Logan became Attorney General in respect of the extradition of Ish and Steve, where this matter had been significantly advanced, and certain actions that Mr. Ram Logan would have taken and instructions he would have given to the then head of the Central Authority, which is the entity responsibility for extradition, right? And well, I recall reading back when it was still available on the internet, David West's witness statement. And try as I might, I'm unable to find it now. And I suppose because it's evidence in this matter. But it was very damning when you read, and I have never forget that, having read that, and I know I would have read it on air when we were on the Sunshine Hour. It was extremely damning when you hear the things David West would have outlined, how far they would have reached in this whole enterprise of extraditing Ish and Steve, and decisions and instructions that he, as the head of the Central Authority, would have received from the Attorney General then, Anand Ram Logan, which he questioned and he couldn't understand. Why are we proceeding? Why are you saying to do this when this is going to stymie the extradition? Why? And I would really have loved to be able to get that, to read it for you all, so you could hear for yourself that when you read the contents of David West's statement, there could be no doubt in your mind that Section 34 was not a mistake. No way could you believe that it was a mistake when you read the things that happened when they came in 2010 with respect to this extradition for Ish and Steve. Questionable decisions that were made by this individual. And as a result, which tells you why it is he was so adamant in trying to get David West to retract that witness statement. Because the contents of that witness statement will nail him to the cross. And not just him, right? The People's Partnership Government of which he was a part. So ask yourself, why else would you be willing to risk your job, willing to risk your reputation, and willing to risk your freedom to get this witness statement of David West because the content was damning. And it would, as I said, it's unfortunate I can't find it. I have searched, I have looked, but I can't find it. And that is why Dr. Rowley would have spoken on that, and Mr. Ram Logan would have sued Dr. Rowley. Private lawsuit. Right? And as a result of that, in attempting to get this witness statement, because the case was supposed to be called or whatever it is, and the witness statement, that resulted in him being fired. In 2017, he was charged. And for the last 7 years, the case has been tied up in court because Mr. Ram Logan was saying that his constitutional rights were breached, and he also brought a claim with respect to the judge who granted the warrant to the police to get his phone records from TSTT, who was Justice Gillian Lucky. And there was some falling out between him and Gillian Lucky at the time when she was head of the Police Complaints Authority. Right? Seeing Angie saying, Mark said his people from Lavantil, the only thing he didn't do was see one of his relatives invented the steel pipe. So true, Angie. So the High Court has cleared the way for the witness tampering case against former Attorney General Anand Ram Logan, Senior Counsel, to begin. This after Justice Nadia Kangaloo yesterday dismissed a constitutional motion brought by Ram Logan against what he said were breaches to his right to his private and family life after another High Court judge granted warrants to tap his telephone lines. With the dismissal of the claim, the witness tampering case can now resume at the Magistrates Court. He is charged with misbehavior in public office and obstruction of justice. However, the matter may again be placed on hold given that Ram Logan yesterday informed the Express during a brief telephone interview that he has already given instructions to his team of attorneys to immediately appeal Justice Kangaloo's ruling. The charges against him surround allegations that he had approached David West, director of the Police Complaints Authority, in 2014 and asked him to withdraw his statement in a claim for defamation of character against then opposition leader Dr. Keith Rowley in exchange for him being appointed PCA director. The Office of the Attorney General issued a media release yesterday afternoon announcing the dismissal of the claim, and in dismissing the constitutional motion, Justice Kangaloo held that there were no breaches to Ram Logan's constitutional rights and that the state had acted within its legal boundaries. In addition, the judge said that the court had found no evidence to support Ram Logan's contention of apparent bias against him by Justice Gillian Lucky, who had granted the warrants to the police. Further, she said Ram Logan did not demonstrate to the court that he had suffered any prejudice and that the admissibility of the evidence obtained by the execution of the warrants has not yet been determined. During the virtual hearing, Justice Kangaloo said Ram Logan's complaint of a conspiracy against him was unfounded, as she was unable to identify any malicious intent on the part of the officers in obtaining the warrants. He seemed to forget that that's why he lost his work. Right? So was there any malicious intent on Kamala's part when, in the absence of any investigation, in the absence of any information, she took a decision. She was satisfied that he was guilty and busted throat. You remember that? So he is saying here now, he wants to bring a constitutional motion. They want to attack the police, the judge, Justice Lucky, for granting the warrants so that the police could have gone to, I think his TSTT is where his mobile provider, so that they could have gotten the phone records to prove that he actually did call David West, right? Even though in his denial that he didn't call nobody and whatever. Justice Kangaloo, right, so the judge said there was no evidence of inability by Ram Logan to defend himself, pointing out that the warrants were lawfully obtained and there was nothing preventing investigators from obtaining such warrants if they had reasonable suspicion that a crime had been committed. Justice Kangaloo also ordered that Ram Logan pay legal costs incurred by the Office of the Attorney General in defending it. Ram Logan had contended through his team of attorneys, led by Peter Carter, King's Counsel, that there was an unlawful issuance of warrants by the judge for the interception of communication data. The unlawful retrieval and collection of communications data pursuant to warrants under the Interception of Communications Act, and the apparent bias of the Honorable Madam Justice Lucky, who issued 5 interception orders dated May 14, 2019. Another 5 interception orders were issued by the judge in May 2015. The essence of these complaints is that the state misapplied primary legislation, namely the IOCA, the Interception of Communications Act, to secure access to private telecommunications data belonging to the accused, and that upon this being pointed out, wrongfully and in bad faith misused the warrant process under Section 5. The criminal matters were scheduled to begin in July 2020 before then Chief Magistrate Maria Busby Earl Cadell, now a temporary High Court judge, but were put on hold after Ram Logan's then lead attorney, Pamela Elder, indicated to the court that the complaint was to be filed at the High Court under Section 14(4) of the Constitution, and the charges were brought against Ram Logan in 2017. The former Attorney General is accused of obstructing justice by using threats and bribery to persuade West to not give evidence in Ram Logan's defamation case against Rowley. He is also accused of misbehaving in public office by improperly endeavoring. See, so, give me 1 second, folks. Right, he's also accused of misbehaving in public office by improperly endeavoring for West not to testify on Rowley's behalf. Why you don't want him to testify on Dr. Rowley's behalf? If you're innocent, then what's the issue? If you're innocent, and as you claim you didn't call David West, you know, and this is the thing that I do understand with his supporters, the fully dons, who will try to defend this man, right? If I am accused of something, and I tell you I didn't call nobody, and you telling me that I called, and I know I didn't call, what the hell? I go in for myself down to TSTT and request a printout of my phone records for the period of time that you all claim that I made these calls. And I presented it to the police. You don't need to get a warrant. I'm saving you the trouble because I'm innocent. And the same situation with respect to the Vincent Nelson matter, where he, Ram Logan, and Ramdeen stood accused of soliciting bribes, kickback, 10% kickbacks on legal briefs, right? Where they stood accused of that. If you know you're innocent and you tell him this man say he put money in my account and he give you a list of dates and amounts that he claims he deposited to my account. He has my account number, but I maintain my innocence. I don't know nothing about that. If I am truly innocent and I didn't receive any money and I am saying that he is lying, he didn't put any money into my account, then all I would simply do go down to the bank and say, I would like to have a printout of my bank statements for the months of May, June, July, all these months where this man say he put money in my account. I want printout so I could take to the police to show them, please, that no such money came into my account. Easy as that if you're innocent. It ain't that hard, but I don't understand how that not getting through the noggins of the fully dons. If you're innocent, you have nothing to worry about. You could just produce the man say he put money in your account. He identified the dates and the amounts. So if he's lying, the money, then there would be no record of that money in your account. So you just give the police the bank statement and say, look, then the police will go back to the man and say, well, here, what now? We have the bank statements here now. This is the account number you give us. The man produced his bank statements for this account and it had nothing like that. We're not seeing any of these monies here. So what's going on with you? Right? Wasting police time. All right. Charge for you. Easy as that. But they're fighting that. So in the same way, you're fighting here to say, well, I didn't call David West, David West lied, and Gary Griffith lied. But let us not forget that the plot thickens because Gary Griffith is also a witness in this matter because Griffith is on public record as having said that Anand Ramlogan called him and asked him to call David West and find out from David West if it is he withdrew the statement because apparently David West had stopped taking calls from Anand. And because he couldn't get on to David West, which is alleged, that he went to Gary Griffith and said, Gary, call David and ask him if he withdrew the witness statement. And Griffith, not knowing what this was about, called David West to ask him. And because of that, Kamala bust his throat because she said Griffith should have tell her. But he don't know what's going on. He thinks it's an innocent call. He just doing a favor for Anand Ramlogan, but he don't understand what this is about. Should have occurred to him though. Well, why you can't call David West for yourself? You are the Attorney General. Why would Mr. David West refuse to take your calls as the Attorney General? You think that he would take mine as Minister of National Security? Okay, all right. Did not occur to him. And you know he's the brightest of the bright. But you may recall that when Gary Griffith was appointed to act as Commissioner of Police after his 3-year term ended in that interregnum period, it was Anand Ramlogan, through the use of his lackey, Ravi Bhargava Maharaj, who petitioned the court, who invited the court to make a determination on the validity of Gary Griffith's appointment, acting appointment. Because the contention was the way that it was done based on the law was that Gary Griffith's name, rather than the Police Complaints Authority simply indicating or simply handing Mr. Griffith an acting letter and say, well, okay, you will continue to act until. That the process was that his name should have been put on a merit list. His name should have been sent to the Parliament for the Parliament to debate it, as is done now, which was the law then. And then that was the process by which. But given the fact that that didn't happen, and the police complaints, the PSC, the Police Service Commission took it upon themselves to just appoint Mr. Griffith to act. That was against the law. And Mr. Ramlogan took the matter to the court. And just the same Justice Nadia Kangaloo found in favor of Mr. Ramlogan's argument. But you may also recall, Mr. Ramlogan, when the matter was assigned to Justice Kangaloo, Mr. Ramlogan had an issue with Justice Kangaloo, right? He claimed that he had a number of other matters that were before Justice Kangaloo, for which judgments had been outstanding for about 2 and 3 years. And given the urgency of this petition that he brought before the court to make a determination as to whether or not Gary Griffith's appointment, acting appointment, was valid, that he wanted Justice Kangaloo to recuse herself and to have the matter appointed to another judge. And Justice Kangaloo refused to recuse herself. And she acted expeditiously and she handed down the judgment, which was in Mr. Ramlogan's favor. But I expect, in short order, if it hasn't already started, that the fully done will come to tell you, well, Justice Kangaloo is the president's sister. And therefore, that there is some political motive that they're out to get Anand, that they vexed because they didn't get through with Vince Nelson. And because that is the president's sister, and that is why the judge, but let us not forget, in that matter, with Gary Griffith and the validity of his appointment, she found in favor of Ramlogan. But I know the fully done will come with that. If they haven't already committed, that is what they're going to come with. Right? To tell you that because Justice Kangaloo and that's the president's sister and his PNM and nonsense. Nonsense. But they will come with, yeah, don't worry, it come in. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm sure that's the nonsense that they're talking in the circles there. Right? In the same way he wanted to accuse Justice Lucky of bias. It's the same thing that I will come with now. Anyway, we expect that. But the higher-ups, the hierarchy of the UNC will talk that talk. They will send that down to the minions as talking points, and it's only a matter of time before they call on that waste of time program on 91.9 to talk that talk. Yeah? And those two clowns there will, of course, entertain that folly. When the allegations came to light, he was fired by then Prime Minister. Right, so the former Attorney General is accused of obstructing justice by using threats and bribery to persuade West to not give evidence in Ramlogan's defamation case against Rowley. He's also accused of misbehavior in public office by improperly endeavoring for West to not testify on Rowley's behalf. The offences are alleged to have taken place in 2014 while he was Attorney General. When the allegations came to light, he was fired by then Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar, appearing on behalf of the right. But the point I was making with respect to that and Gary Griffith was because Gary Griffith is also a witness in this matter. I believe, if memory serves me correctly, it was Gary himself who said that this was an ingenious attempt to discredit him as a witness in this matter, so that when the matter comes up for hearing and Gary Griffith is called to testify, and if he says, well, yes, Anand Ramlogan would have asked him to call David West and whatnot, that the case, it could be said that Griffith is a hostile witness, meaning that he has reason to lie on Ramlogan because he is bitter that Ramlogan would have challenged his acting appointment and basically cost him his job as Commissioner of Police. Yes, that's what was said. That's what was said. So it's as if the insinuation is that Ramlogan is setting up this thing so that he could take out as many of the witnesses as possible. So you could attack Griffith's credibility by virtue of the fact that you could make out a case that Griffith has a vendetta against Ramlogan for costing him his job as Commissioner of Police and will come now and testify and lie. But he has no such ammunition against David West. So That's why he has to attack the phone records, because the records prove that he did in fact contact David West, as David West would have indicated. Right? So we're trying to get that struck out. So if West can prove that I called him based on phone records, so what are we gonna do? It's my word against his. He say I called him, I say I didn't call him, and there's no proof. There's nothing they could offer to say yes, you called. That's what it is called, the best lawyer. But the hierarchy of his party supporting, understand people. Understand that if they have no qualms about putting a man who is on $1 million bail for fraud, conspiracy, and misbehavior in public office as your next Minister of Energy, should they come back into office in 2025, then I verily believe they have absolutely no issue, no problem putting Mr. Ram Logan back as Attorney General. Need I remind you, Eleanor Donaldson Honeywell, Prison Gate? Say when she wrote to then Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar expressing her concerns about this same legal fees kickback thing, what happened? She bypassed her boss, the Attorney General, and sent it to Kamala because she had concerns about possible involvement by the Attorney General. Kamala do send the letter to Annan and say, deal with that, himself to himself. And shortly thereafter, we know what happened. There was some letter that came out claiming that Mrs. Donaldson Honeywell was satisfied with the explanations given and she no longer had any concerns. And then soon thereafter, she resigned as Solicitor General and she now sits as a High Court judge. Let us not forget these things, right? Himself to himself. This is the woman who fancies herself to be the Prime Minister in waiting. When Stacey Rupnarine sent her the letter on behalf of the board of NIDCO expressing concerns about possible interference by the substantive line minister, Surud Rambachan, with respect to possible bid rigging. The junior minister in the ministry, the board of NIDCO they weren't comfortable speaking with the minister, the line minister. They went to the junior minister to say, here, well, we have some concerns. And we might be we have the view that the line minister may be trying to interfere. So please, if you could intervene on our behalf and speak with the Prime Minister. And she did that, thinking she was doing something good. What happened? They went on retreat in Tobago, and when they come back, poor Stacey she threw bus. She was removed from the ministry and maybe serves me correctly, she was sent back to the Ministry of Sports. You remember? Under, what's his name? Brent Sancho. The time who had replaced Annie Roberts after he resigned. But that is how Kamala Persad-Bissessar deals with allegations of corruption in her administration. When water more than flour and she has no other choice, she fires them. And when she could cover it up, tell them, deal with it. You fix that. I don't have time for that. My work is to cut ribbon and turn sod. I only work 2 days for the week, according to Gary Griffith, and show up in Parliament every now and again, so that it would be on the record that I was there, because I can't serve 5 years and not show up in the Parliament. But every now and then I'll just come and pop in, show my face, make an appearance, and leave. So I don't need this headache. I had to fire enough people already. I can't afford to fire no more. So close to the election. So let's deal with that now. Deal with that. And then Monta boasts now that every time there was allegations of corruption, she fired the people. And I don't understand the fully dunce talking that stupid talk as if that is something to be proud of. The Prime Minister who holds the record as having to fire the most amount of ministers for misbehavior in public office, allegations of corruption among other things, the most amount, and only proud of that. Yes, every time an allegation come up, what does that say about her judgment with respect to choosing people? Poor judgment. Poor judgment. No other Prime Minister in this country has ever had to deal with that. But you see, when the pool from which you could choose is so intellectually bereft and corrupt, you don't have a choice. As Rodney Charles says, nobody of integrity wants to associate themselves with the UNC. So if you can't find people of integrity, you have to settle for what you have. People who are unethical, morally bankrupt. That is the pool that she has to choose from. And that has not changed. If anything, it has gotten worse. To use a borrowed term from US politics, right? Drain the swamp. But if she drained the swamp, it have nothing. Not even wabin or crab or nothing for her to choose from. And that hasn't changed. So the pool of talent that she has to choose from if she becomes Prime Minister again in 2025, no difference. I said the people who have no morals, no ethics, nothing about them, and only want to get in there to thief. When they open the doors of the treasury, every thief for himself and the rest of the country take the hindmost. Just remember, Rodney Charles says that nobody of integrity wants to associate with the UNC. That is clearly evident. And that will not change in 2025. So even if they win, you're not going to see all of a sudden people of integrity saying, well, we flock to the UNC. No. There's a swamp she has to choose from. And you will have a cabinet drawn from a swamp. What should I say? As Fitzgerald Hines said, the murky lagoon. All vex is all your business, but that is what it is. A sort of self-serving. Anyway, I'm going to leave it. 7701763. In the interest of time. Let me put this thing on. Turn this on. See this here. Hold on 1 second, Jen. Let me just switch devices here. Turn this off. Okay. Just. So, let's see here. I'll try this. Just now. 1 second. Jenny. Hello. Hello. All right, that's now. Hold on there, Jen. Let me just, I don't know what's going on with this thing this morning. All right, let's try this again. This thing doing with this morning. Hold on, let me see. Let's try this now. Jenny.
Hi, Dominic. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi again, Dominic. Good afternoon to all the callers and those who are listening to Facts and Stubborn Things. And again, our prayers and our wishes goes out to the countries affected by the Hurricane Beryl, Martinique, Carriacou, Union Islands, St. Vincent, Barbados, Grenada, Jamaica, and we continue to see efforts made by corporate Trinidad and Tobago, also the government of this country, in sending needy supplies and relief to those countries. And we at the Bunker and Lewis thing will also be doing our part. Dominic, I want to touch on the steel band thing here because culture is, I'm not a steel band player. I would have played in secondary school. And I do listen to it because I appreciate all genre of music, culture, and the arts. The TASA was not created or invented in Trinidad, not even in India. The TASA came down from Persia into India and then transported. The steel pan, on the other hand, is the only 20th century musical instrument that was invented. It was something that was created from a steel drum that was having oil in it. You couldn't take the drum and just beat it and get a sound. The innovators and creators here would have taken that, concave it, I don't know if that's the word, and created where you could actually play music when you have two sticks. It used to be a tin rubber that used to give you ping pong, until they make it a little thicker that you actually start to get the melody. And until the TASA could play the national anthem, and it have different notes like the quaver, letter notation, half note, quaver note, a crochet, and I could go on and on. And the mere fact it was not invented in Trinidad and Tobago, this conversation about it being a national instrument, it must stop. because all peoples play the steel pan. It's recognized all over the world. United Nations General Assembly would have, in 2023, have this World Steel Pan Day designated August the 11th, and that is going to carry on. There's no Tassa drum being, no day in the year being celebrated by the National Assembly UN. In China and Canada and all over the world, I am not seeing people playing the Tassa. Or when you look at orchestras all over the world, philharmonic orchestras and the steel pan are part of it, you don't see no Tassa drum. So let me leave that there. And it is alleged that Dr. Vijay Ramlal, that his PhD may be questionable. I am saying that is allegation. Jack Warner would have complimented the health facility, Arima Health Facility, on the world-class treatment that he got from all involved, and that says something to the People's National Movement, Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, that it was money well spent to finish the hospital, and we hope that all other hospitals, all other regions would also take pattern from what Mr. Warner would have said, because he complimented them to the moon and the stars and back. People say that the People's National Movement has not done anything for the steel pan, and it's only now they come and pass and proclaim this bill. I want to tell them in the 70s, Dr. Equilem, 11 and 12 years old, the big man riding the chest as little children. The People's National Movement took them out of rapid free education. Then we had gate that was fully funded, not half the gate open, dollar for dollar under Mr. Pandey, fully covered by the People's National Movement. And we had the Treaty of Chagramas that would have put all those lands back to this country from the American usage of it. So I'm saying again, the People's National Movement has always been visionary with its leader, have always been about the growth of this country and diversification of this country. And Point Lisas, don't forget that. Dr. Equilams make across the Carney Birds become millionaires immediately by just Point Lisas being there within that area. So when they want to talk about development, diversification, forward thinking, vision thinking, and helping the citizens of this country, that disadvantage on the rise, all citizens, the only People's National Movement have been able to do that. And congratulations again to the government for proclaiming the steel pan as a national instrument of this country. And this is in line with the United Nations would have said, this is the decade of African persons. This is the last year. It's also in line with Dr. Rowley stating that this year is African Emancipation Day. Also in line with CARICOM and the Reparation Committee that they have looking into reparation for the descendants of enslaved Africans. Thank you, Dominic, as usual, and have a blessed week, everybody.
Thank you, Jen. Hello, good afternoon. Call me back. Right. So we would have posted on the debunking page on Facebook article or letter that was sent to The Guardian on the 5th of July, written by Jack Warner, in which he would have indicated the experience he had at the Arima General Hospital, titled World-Class Treatment at Arima General Hospital, Health Ministry's Best Kept Secret. At a time when the Ministry of Health is facing intense public scrutiny and outrage arising from the NICU fiasco at the Port of Spain General Hospital, I am writing to expose to the national community the ministry's best kept secret. The new Arima General Hospital. Recently, I required medical attention at that hospital, and world class is the only way I can describe the care and medical attention I received. From the moment I arrived, the level of professionalism was remarkable. The security staff assisted me in obtaining parking, and the reception staff greeted me with empathy and efficiency, ensuring that all the necessary paperwork was handled swiftly. Let's see what else he says. Says in an era where our national healthcare system faces immense challenges and criticisms. The exceptional dedication and professionalism exhibited by the staff at the Arima General Hospital are truly commendable. I do not normally believe in specification, but I make an exception on this occasion to thank Dr. Rodney Ramroop and Timmy Hussein, as well as the staff of the CT Scan, MRI, and radiology department. So all of the equipment working in good working order. It is also important to highlight the advanced facilities and technology available at the Arima General Hospital. State-of-the-art equipment plays a crucial role in delivering high-quality medical care. The combination of professional expertise, compassionate care, and advanced facilities at that hospital should be the benchmark for healthcare excellence in our country. I extend my deepest gratitude to all the staff members who attended to me and contributed to this exceptional experience. It's interesting, or not interesting. Noteworthy that he made no mention of the government or the Minister of Health, right? But had he had a bad experience, rest assured, mention would have been made of Minister Dayal Singh. Yeah, just as there were calls for Minister Dayal Singh's head with respect to the NICU issue. Mr. Dayal Singh don't work in the NICU, Port of Spain General Hospital, just as he doesn't work at the Arima Hospital. But you know what? The role of the minister is to what? And the role of the government? Build the facilities, provide the equipment needed, the staff needed, and it is the staff whose responsibility it is to deliver quality service, right? And again, I want to remind persons, contrary to when this was posted, and I saw people, supporters of the fully done screw, talking about, yeah, but it's Kamla who built that hospital. Kamla Prasad Bisesa and the PP did not build the Arima Hospital, all right? They turned the sod on the 7th of May, 2015. That was that, to Mamagai people, but nothing happened after that. That was 4 months before the election. They didn't put in place funding or anything for the hospital. When this administration came in, they had to do that. And there is a newspaper article that you can find that speaks to all of that. And Terence Dayal Singh would have identified the timelines that the final designs for the hospital would have taken place in January of 2016. Construction started in March of 2016. The topping off of the roof for the hospital took place in 2017, and it was handed over in 2020. And as someone who lives on that corridor, I can tell you that hospital did not start under the People's Partnership. So you all need to stop your nonsense with that, right? And I'm certain if this is the level of care that Mr. Warner would have received, but of course the fully done will say it's only because it was Jack Warner. I saw a comment about it. It's only because it's Jack Warner he get that treatment, but the rest of the citizens, rubbish. Rubbish. The mother of the Minister of Finance, Colman Burt, when she suffered a stroke prior to her death a few months ago, she was in a Arima General Hospital. For several weeks, she was in a Arima General Hospital. That's where she was. He had the money, she had money, he could have put her in St. Clair Medical, West Shore Medical. No, she was in the Arima General Hospital, right? The mother of the Minister of Finance. And several other persons would have indicated the treatment that they would have gotten at that hospital. State of the art, as Mr. Warner said, world class. And if they're getting that treatment there, and that is the service they're getting there, I can imagine what they're getting in Sandy Grande, which even before the new hospital was built in Sandy Grande, people were praising the quality of care that they were getting at that hospital. So now they have a new facility in conjunction with the old one. So I am sure, there are these two hospitals, we're certain, if you go to an east-west corridor, well, in the east, you're going to get first-class service. And what? Free. No cost to you, thanks to the government of Trinidad and Tobago. But in the US that they love to talk about, bet your bottom dollar you're going to get a bill after, right? But here, you feel Mr. Wanna have money, he could have go to St. Augustine private. All he had to do was to call Fuad Khan, or sure he knows some other big doctor there and tell them, I ain't feeling well, let your staff know I come in to organize me. He could have done that. He didn't do that. Instead, he went to the Arima Hospital. And you know why? I am certain it's because somebody else went there and got excellent service and told him about it. And he said, well, let me go to Arima because so and so said they went so. And I'm certain that person is not known like him. And he went there and he saw for himself. And so impressed was he that he felt the need to write, not in his Sunshine newspaper, but in the Guardian newspaper, which has wider readership than the Sunshine newspaper. But they ain't going to talk about that. Let's see who we have here. So, hello, good afternoon. Look at it. What's going on here? Hello, good afternoon.
Hey, Dominic, how are you?
Hi, good man.
Yeah, man. Good program as usual.
Thank you.
With respect to Mr. Warner, Jack Warner, I'm not sure he's still put to the hospital, you know, right? When Jack Warner left the country?
When what?
When last Jack Warner left the country?
Well, he hasn't now on a while. He still can't leave.
Oh. So he can't go to the Caribbean to take a vacation?
Nope.
I see. Well, he had no choice than to partake of our local hospitality. Anyway, Mr. Dominic, there's so much things to talk about there. I know you want to focus with Mr. Anna and Logan. And they want to blame the judge who is allegedly the relative of the president, right? So tell me something. The Auditor General who is taking back another confusion. Is she related to somebody famous too?
Well,
I don't know. A journalist? Coincidence, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, coincidence. And that same journalist making the shift now. But Dominic, I don't know if you read this story with two things that come to mind. The so-called cult in the SSA. That is very serious, you know. Imagine that the organization that's supposed to be protecting this country and the government have saboteurs in that organization trying to overthrow the government. And they still have one of them who was fired interviewed a former commissioner on a radio program, on a radio station. Right?
Yes.
Remember that? You know,
yeah.
I was 90. I always say that you should look at that so-called social media program, Cookia, you know. I always watch that social media station with that Cookia, you know. Ever since that, there's been on that radio station, you know. You know who Gavin Miller is?
Yes.
Thank you. And then another story that we comment on mine too. This thing about a resistance gang in St. Augustine. I don't know if you follow about that.
No.
I don't know. I think my question is somebody have some kind of investigation online. And it originated in St. Augustine. I think I should follow that. Take a read of that. Because you know they're saying that everybody talking about the PNM hotspots and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, look what it is in St. Augustine. It's not the UNC territory. And who is the MP in that area?
Khadija.
Yes. And up to now, we haven't heard the story complete about the kidnapping of the doubles of the thing with the double.
Yes.
And there's more to that story. And next thing too, do you saw the video with Skippy Thomas?
Yes, I did.
I think I should talk about that.
Yeah, I will address that on another day.
Yes, I'm skipping getting money. And now the last 20 people. You know, I've seen language too.
Yeah.
So one of them learn jump with now. What's the new? Or the PNM, but the PNM don't want them. We don't want them at all.
Well, he might get what he wanted and then he will just go back and start to talk for them again.
Yeah. Let's keep custom party thing. You know that's bad.
Yes. I'll probably play that on Tuesday.
So the other editor they got a real custom.
Yeah, I would play the expletives, but people know Skippy have a filthy word.
Yeah, Fatima.
Yes.
Well, Paris, I get money now. I didn't get what he get. Yeah, now. Or see my start up. Yeah, what good do?
You too, sir.
I'm going to
Hello, good afternoon. Mr. Chance.
Hello, Dominic.
Yes, sir.
How are you doing?
I am good, and yourself?
Thank you for reading that little blog coming from a board member of the Pantindigo. Now, I must confess that as a citizen, I have been involved in the steel band industry since a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
So I can give you some real examples of the P&M administration giving real support in the development and the promotion of the steel pan instrument in Trinidad and Tobago. But first of all, just let me say that you read that part very clearly. Yesterday I had a discussion with a board member, and it was very clear that the decision of the Parliamentary Bureau was that they will accept the facility down in Port of Spain. And usually with government policy, as you know, I've been involved in sport in the government at a high level. Both culture and sport, they don't interfere. They don't interfere with the business of who they select and what they choose. So that's up to the association, and they volunteered to move the sites from the highway to Port of Spain, right?
Yes.
Yes, that's the very first thing. So you have to ignore Faoul Abubakar. I know him because I attended several meetings in Parliamentary when I was very active there. And these fellas are just rabble rousers. So anyway, let us come first of all to the first point with respect to the contribution of the P&M administration and the leadership with respect to the development of PAN. I was a young person, about 10, 11 years, and I wanted people to listen to this. When Dr. Eric Williams made a tour of steel barnyards in the country, one of the steel barnyards he paid attention to was a steel barn in the river called Newtones. At that age, I was the drummer for Newtones. And the beneficiary of that was that after Dr. Williams made all his tour, he got a sponsor for us called L.J. Williams Newtones. And another band right in the river there called Melodians, he got a sponsor for them called Colgate Melodians. And that was the development, because when you get your sponsor, you get a lot of financial and technical help in terms of promoting your band. So that was the very first thing. In addition to that, both bands, both Melodians and Newtones, got drum sets. And as a young man, there is where I practiced and became a drummer for the Newtones steel band. So that is evidence. The second bit of evidence I want to put on the table is when Mr. Manning, do you know that Mr. Manning established a special committee to create the innovation of something called the GPAN at the university, where Professor Brian Copeland and Professor Clem, both of them got ORTT for that innovation called the GPAN. Yeah, that's very patented as well. And it didn't stop there, Mr. Manning didn't stop there, you know. There's something called music literacy that was introduced at UTT. And most of the beneficiaries were young steel band arrangers who went there to do theory of music. Today, most of the bands, the school bands, and several of the top bands, the arrangers are beneficiaries of that program started under Mr. Manning at UTT. Music literacy. My very good friend, Desmond Waite, was part of the innovators in that particular area. So that's a big development, because long ago, most of the steel bandmen played by what is called rote. You watch on the finger and the hand move around and stuff. But now they're playing by music because they have introducing the theory of music, and that's the music literacy. And UTT was the centerpiece for training these young arrangers, and you see all of them, all those steel band, primary school bands and so on. They're young arrangers, and they're reading music, and they're the beneficiary of that. And finally, we come to Dr. Rowley, and that is why I'm saying that in the Caribbean as a whole, we do not celebrate instances of our work. Because what happened this week was a very historic thing in the Parliament. And I agree with Jenny, there's so much to talk about the opposition. This bill would have been passed because it needed a simple majority. The opposition was just there to give a chorus. They couldn't do anything about it. So we must place all the congratulations, all the praise on the government of Trinidad and Tobago for taking that historic step to move the steel band movement into an area of law. And I want to take the opportunity as well to congratulate Ms. Beverly Ramsey Moore, who played a very critical role in that establishment, in that movement. And when we connect that together with the World Steel Pan Day that takes place on the 11th of August, we understand the significant contribution that the government has made to developing that pan. I'm going to close with this because very few people talk about this. That bill with respect to the proclamations had a very important clause, and lots of people will miss it, so I'm going to say it to them now. Clause 4 of that bill was very instructive. That bill wasn't only a proclamation, it was a bill, and there are several clauses. Clause 4 says that the minister is mandated, you hear that? Whoever the minister is of culture is mandated to go to Parliament every 2 years and report on the promotion, development, and impact of the steel pan locally and internationally. You understand that? You understand where the steel pan is a combined relationship and responsibility with the government and pension maker. So the government is going every 2 years to talk about the impact globally and the impact nationally in the promotion and development. Who will benefit from that? Who will benefit from that? The people of Trinidad and Tobago. So I say that that particular proclamation bill is a very important step for the people of Trinidad and Tobago, particularly clause 4. And I want people to remember that clause 4, because all the proclamation we're talking about, we're ignoring how the government has made sure that the development and promotion of steel pan brings with it into the government, the fold of the government of Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you very much for the time, Dominic.
Thank you, sir. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dominic.
Greetings.
Hey, listen, I listened to the Parliament with this debate on the pan issue, and I thought after the roughing up that what's the girl from Maruga?
Michelle Benjamin.
Michelle Benjamin. God. I thought when I reached the Senate, they'll behave themselves. Only to hear this long carry on about this thing. I was so shocked, and you could see you only talking about I was here and I was there, and the house and the grandmother and the auntie, and he carrying on. Guys, fun, he's fun, I fun, and happening and that. So I tell myself, he really could. This all the information he gives is false. The information about the land is false. How come I like them land? How come I study pan in school? All of that stuff under them. And they know that, and that's the problem I have with this jokers or USD. They don't do no research, they just come to argue. So if I was, and then Michelle talking to when he says he is pan, I had to just let him know. Pan don't sound like that. Pan is a well-crafted engineered piece of musical equipment. That song real melodious, not like all them the songs. The only thing song the only part of pan I can see is like the empty barrel.
Yes.
It's about the empty barrel. Right? Which is a state that the closest he could come to a pan. Pan is the final product, but the barrel is the beginning, and that is how he saw me in that program on our Parliament yesterday. I was so disappointed. I see, but when them gonna learn, boy, and it's so embarrassing to see that all the things that they claiming turn out to be false.
Yep.
None of it is true. And they just keep going on and on and on. And eventually, when they're already irrelevant, but everybody will realize that they're totally irrelevant and nobody will listen to them. Because right now, anything they say, you can't trust. Why? Because in Parliament, you're saying what 13 acres of land, you come outside and you can alive and say
3,000
acres of land. You know what 3,000 acres of land is? So, Lord Father, I just wonder what they'd be thinking. But the bad part about all of that is it has some people who listen to them and they believe the nonsense that they talk. You understand? And that is the dangerous part about this thing. They would not listen to the conclusion of the whole matter. hear what them say and run with it. And they are aware of that. That's why they do it. They do it all the time so that people, the supporters mainly, who really think about nothing else, they just hear and take it and go with it and spread it. Real utter rubbish nonsense. And I just don't understand. If nobody, someone else, I could rein them in and say, listen now, we have to do better than this. This ain't song and right, this ain't song and good at all. It's just embarrassment and like they had no shame whatsoever. According to you, dog eat this thing. They had a dog and them starving because they had no more sheep. Oh Lord, Dominic, I just listened to this. And Randall Michel, he was still not as rough as he could have been with it.
Yes.
But he's trying to show you, man, this is an auspicious occasion. He's not going into them kind of debate and all them things. And I expected that to be, yes, you know, we make the announcement and that's passing on. Everybody, oh, if you had a talk at all, you talking in support. They have nothing to do with all this drama and all this stuff that he was creating. I didn't expect that, especially after Michelle Benjamin.
Yes.
You come now and feel you so bright how you feel. Boy, I was so happy to see how you get off. I was so happy to see this thing. But on the other issue, this bill that they passed, right? They know it's a simple majority bill that they stated. So they have put anyway, just to take away from the thing that they don't support nothing on crime, no bills on crime.
Yes.
So to get away from that, for people not to recognize that they vote for it, because they are passed, whether or not they vote for it. You understand? Whether or not they vote for it, it was going to pass. But what I would like to see the government is bring back the one that needed chief's majority.
Yes.
The anti-gang. Right. Bring it back as soon as Parliament starts back. And let me see how much of it they will support. Because they are saying, oh, we put amendments and amendments. How the hell they was denied all the time you're arguing about people's rights and their rights and denying them so much of time. 120 days in jail after Japonian and so on and so on. But like they noticed the 180 days is gone to now. And they support that. They wasn't supporting 120, but they supporting 180. Right? Them really done some fish. I just feel embarrassed boy. But I just be looking at these things and see, but these people don't think. Nobody don't see them as an L1 say, not so, and chance when they don't find a way to, make it sound a little better. But they keep moving on to this thing and start to say that people are just not believe chopping instead of stuff. No wonder why they had to be refused to have this. Anyway, have a good day.
You too, sir. Thank you. Fully done indeed, right? So I'm seeing persons on YouTube asking for the number. It's 770-1763. Hello, good afternoon.
Dominic.
Oh, Lord. Leave it there.
What's going on?
All is well.
Boy?
Yes, sir. Well, I seem like you're back in Trinidad.
Let me say good morning to my sister. Sis, good morning. You don't make your program and all, Dominic.
I know.
Hey, Dominic. Yes. I'm going to come home. According to Brian, I'm going to come home. Hey, Dominic.
Yes, sir.
3 days ago, I listened to a program on Guyana. They had an expo calling for investors. 2 countries, the name. Go in and invest. America and China. You see who is Dr. Rowley friends? Maduro and that one from India. Dominic, you know, yes, that gentleman couldn't leave India.
No, I don't know that.
And as he get the opportunity to leave India, he ended up in Trinidad. Dominic, how much time did I call him?
But you are aware that that he is.
No, answer that. I will leave it here.
All right, leave it there. But are you aware that Mr. Jindal is a 3rd-time member of Parliament of India? He's now serving his third term. The last 2 terms were under the opposition. Now he's under the government. So I don't see why he was not able to leave India, but yet still he was elected as a member of parliament in the Indian parliament. And I just thought I would throw that in there. And also, we do have significant Chinese investments here in the Phoenix Park, the E-Tech Park in Point Lisas there. In fact, we have a number of Chinese tenants there as well. So it's not just, as you said, Maduro and who's the other one, Mr. Jindal. Anyway, we're going to deal with that another day. Brian.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, sir. Greetings.
Let me call you back.
All right. Hello, good afternoon.
Hi, Dom. How are you?
I am good.
Where do I begin? The jokers call it done. Everything to them is an issue. As I told somebody a while back, Eric Williams' name will be off our history books. The pan is buzzing them because it's a black people thing. But the Queen didn't see that. She had it pan played in Buckingham Palace. You want to eat that? Eat it wholesale, solid, and plan the seat too. Pan here to stay. Deal with it. They are such an insecure people. If he is so bad, leave the nation, pack your 2x2 bag and get out. This lunatic who said that Kamala is on par with Eric Williams. What's in your water? Weed, cocaine, crack, a black bomb? What the hell you drank to insult the first PM that way? How dare you insult him? He was a civic-minded person, was a patriot. He never cursed the land of his birth like Kamala has. Kamala, what record do you have? Your status quo is worse than Pandy's own. You're talking about what you have done. My cousin went to do medicine because she looked like Midnight Sister, and I hear her she was told no. But people of the yellow crew who didn't have the degrees or passes in medicine, she got her master now in Canada studying medicine. The hypocrisy of those people. And David Nacken, Pan, you know a dustpan. And you are no friends. Tell us, what if salaries and fees will split up? Who is this guy, oh gosh, Holman? Where he lived? Woodbrook and James Fair. How much would you have boys or girls? He has 2 children. In Hunter Street. I know what pan. Unless next to the shop, before he was book the shop. I know pan naked. Your mouth is your upper rectum, and I'm being polite. I'm trying very hard to be polite. Now, let me tell you, want some mental health. You and Anil are 2 mad people. And you and Anil are introducing minor things. Ting, 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 ting. Ting, 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 ting. You have mosquitoes and flies and nails on a chalkboard. Annoying. Let me ask a question now. If you were innocent about something, would you prove yourself or keep it quiet? Because if Ramlook was innocent, would he prove himself? Does proving yourself to be right mean you can go back into government? Ramlook, what do you have to hide, boy? What do you have to hide? You call me thief, I shoplift, I empty my whole bag on the counter, and I would sue you for slander. Ramlook, Logan, you have much to hide. Why is that? Why did you go against your darling Kamala? The parent in you. She kicked out the other party. Go after her to them. Why wanted to Parliamentary rowdy? Lord help us, Father, help us. People hear me well. Do not vote those things in 2025. Because all who are the oil of this land and who are crude, beautiful oil will not stand a chance. The color red and black represents evil. The pan to be flinged into the depths of hell. Kamala doesn't love us. But come August 1st, what clothes she going to wear? But then, John, what race are you? Negro, Indian, curry? What to come and use racist remarks against slaves mean she cares about yellow. TNT is not Kamala's nation. It's a stepping stone for greatness. But Kamala, your greatness will be your downfall. Your lust for power, your lust to be seen, your downfall. Don't make God bless you and keep you dumb. You see a toothbrush? Put hot water in there because the brushes carry bacteria. Don't your sponge too, you wash your hands with hot water. All those things retain bacteria from your craft. Wash your pots first, then a cup, spoons, and glasses. And keep trying to God bless you, my people. I speak well over you, over every PNM person, over Lavin Hill. Father, we bless Mr. Rowley, his wife, his children, and every member of PNM government, Father. Lord, I pray that your hand be upon this nation, that God PNM will be, by your design, the next government 2025. Government go back today.
Thank you. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, good afternoon to you, Mr. Roman. Good afternoon to callers, listeners of another segment of debunking lies with facts. Right. Now, I see you dive watching to the PAN segment of the proclamation of PAN. Right. And I think that the government, as well as for its people, would have done a tremendous for the PAN proclamation in this country. Because you will get the those who will pretend to say that they're interested in PAN, but we know deep down, as what Randall said, those in the yellow might have an issue, right? But with that being said and done, I am greatly appreciated that it took this PNM administration under Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, right, to proclamate this instrument in the 21st century called PAN, right? Who don't like it could bite it. You understand? No, I just train a little way from the PAN, a little bit. I want to jump into this case with the former AG. It is so embarrassing to see that a former AG of our country, many AGs passed through Trinidad and Tobago over the years. But this particular AG, right? You lost your matter in the courts, right? I want to know why this individual is still practicing law in this country knowingly that he has so much of questionable character behind his name. And you're coming to defend the same people that you and Jayanti and the others went and petitioned the court to make a 105 law, right? Them to make murder available offense today, some 105 years later. And they're coming now in my face and telling me, well, you know, the criminals will have a say. Once a life is taken, criminals have no say there, Jayanti and Freedom Law Chambers. But you see, Dominic, these people just want to utilize all means possible. If it's by any corrupting means to get money, or you say, well, you know, as a lawyer, you would go at any lengths to get fat briefs in your pocket. So they will do anything possible, even though if it's to represent criminals in the court to get bail, because they know when they get bail and how bail works, right? I have you at ransom, so whatever you do, it will benefit me. You understand? That is why the wheels of justice turns slowly. But this one, it backfired on he, Mr. Ram Logan. You understand? He shouldn't be, that was always like, this man should not be practicing law in this country. None whatsoever. And everything, you run down Freedom Chambers in San Fernando. That's why you have Jayanti and all them UNC nitwits and them run down there. I don't want you to represent me in nothing. You understand? Because them is a set of crooks in that law chambers. I don't care if they hear me, if they think. There's a set of crooks. Just in the UNC. That is why the opposition leader could jump out and say, well, we have our battery of lawyers, and we're going to represent, and we're going to fight this Rowley administration and get to the bottom of this. We know why, because they have their people planted in these areas to come and defend the rubbish and the propaganda that they spread on a day-to-day basis in this country. Hence the reason why the country in this mess 14 years later. I never thought 14 years in this country. You was there 5 years, 3 months, 14 days, and 9 years in opposition. And out of that 14 years, you ain't even say, all right, let me sit down, let me come to the drawing board, and let me, you want to be leader, you lost 15 plus election in this country as an opposition leader, and you still sit down there. You know why? The members and the followers and the supporters like it so. It's about party and the country. That is why she had no choice to vote for the bill, amendment bill, this time around, because the last time they had issue, they can't support it because of certain irregularities. So you come now because she fearful that it have some dissonance in her party. It's going to vote with the government just what Rai Rackberry did with the whistleblower legislation. And I don't understand that she wants to take that matter to court because she finds that is inhumane. That is against the citizens' rights. Everything the government do at the end of the day, they have an issue with it because it's about the citizens, not about them, no, it's about the citizens. Who are the citizens that they are representing? They don't represent 1.5 million people in the country. They represent their 19 constituencies they represent, not the 1.5 million people. So it would affect their people and them in that party. So that is why she have an issue with that. And here, going forward, they are going to support. They're trying to get the trust or getting the good books of the electorate by voting and supporting the government now going forward. Because she don't want no precedents again that will happen in Parliament. You understand? But with that being said and done, UNC days are numbered in this country. As to the SSA, that is another topic by itself. Because every time the Prime Minister talk, this next one they call G-string. Like apparently the blue G-string tighten the brain and talking foolishness. Right? G-string, better you stop wearing that blue G-string and wear proper underwear. Because clearly it cannot conflict the way you think. That is why how you speak. You understand? Every time Dr. Really talk about something about SSA, you jump out yourself and you're running from pillar to post and you're knocking all over the place. You understand? Because you find that you must have the last say. You run from this media house to this radio station to that media house, and so you're going. And these media houses that encourage the BS with this man every single time. If what Dr. Roddy said in the Parliament on Wednesday is not the truth, why you running from pillar to post or knocking from pillar to post, right? And you're coming to make it look as if Dr. Roddy trying to stigmatize you because you from Gary G-string, you was quiet all the time. You jump with yourself now. So then now you giving the public a perception that you was singly involved in this whole thing. They always say a still tongue keep a wise head. But if you continue like that, you giving people now that you were part and you were the mastermind behind this whole fiasco. And I see the next one before my head jump out and say, oh, it ain't so. The statements that the Prime Minister make, it was ludicrous. And it have no such thing as no plot to overthrow the government. But where all these guns come from, where all this ammunition come from, a country of 1.5 million people, where all these guns and ammunition come from. And it's these guns and ammunition that is what causing a set of problem on the nation's streets in Trinidad and Tobago. I never thought in all my years Tobago had reached to this level. Tobago have almost 15 murders. 15 murders in Tobago. Long time is about many about 1, 2, or 3, even 4 for the year. Now it's 15 and going. But you're coming to talk us about foolishness. But I want G-string to go in the court and tell them lift the FUL injunction, right? And then we go decide what Dr. Ronnie was saying is lie and what you say is truth. You understand? Until then, we don't want to hear you because you're a persona non grata in most of us book right now, right? Come back to this pan thing, Dominic. I don't want to shoot too much, but come back to the pan thing because I know you're there dealing with. I must say kudos to Radner Mitchell for putting mango hen in the place and sour milk or tainted milk Michelle Benjamin in the place because they don't know nothing or squat about how pan was invented, right? What was the turmoil and tribulations that people would have gone through over the years to make pan what it is today. You understand? I support that 100%. And come next month, I'll be enjoying World Pan Day on August 11th going forward. And I think they should make that as a permanent holiday in the calendar for Trinidad because let us celebrate our instruments, not locally, not regionally, but internationally. And kudos to Dr. Rowley again and the government for proclamation of this instrument called the Pan in the 21st century. Dominic, good program, locked on, listening.
Thank you, sir. Brian. Hello.
Hey, good afternoon to you, Dominic.
Yes, sir. Greetings.
Hello?
Yeah, Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to your listeners and callers. I
Greetings.
got you back. Dominic, with respect to the PAN issue, I always say it is always good if you don't have the information to look at the parliamentary channel and you will get truth from the People's National Movement. Because I learned many things when I listened to the Honorable Minister of Tourism and Culture and the Arts. Because I was not aware. I knew the land was given to the Pan Bago, but I never knew that it wasn't quote unquote given to them. It was just said so.
Yes.
You understand? I remember when Kamala Persad-Bissetta said when she was Prime Minister that she could allot the $7 million. I wasn't aware that they didn't get 5 cents.
Well, instead of a DWs, they get a certificate of comfort.
You understand? So I when I started to hear I say, oh my God. Because many like me, if you listen to certain people in this country, will continue to believe the lies. Because if the government didn't say, if Randall Mitchell didn't say anything and allowed it to continue, people would have gone away thinking, well, okay, they got the land, and what Ramsey Moore doing? You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
What is Pan fraternity doing for themselves? You understand? Not knowing that they never got anything. So when the Honorable Prime Minister indicated that land will now go towards the Amani people with respect to building the academy, I said, hold on here. What's going on here? He's taking it just like that. But now you know the truth. Now you understand exactly what transpired. Or should I say, didn't happen. And these people continue to put these lies in the public space. They just lie for lying for votes. I listened to the member from Muruga Tableland, Miss Benjamin, MP Benjamin. I mean, oh God, you know when you get set up, why they put her to talk about that? And she had nothing good to say about PAN because you're in opposition. Why you didn't take a page out of Dr. Rai Ragner's book? Instead of just being a puppet and throwing those lies by your leader. You look like a fool, and the people of Muruga Tableland would have seen you and shook their head and said, oh my God, look at what they're doing. Look at what we're doing to our representatives. But I don't even want to talk about David Nackett because as far as I'm concerned, he's supposed to be in a Lebanese jail. I don't know why Jack Warner and the late great Patrick Manning have to do anything to get him out of there. That's where he's supposed to be. That's where he was. And that's where he's supposed to be. And that's why when the minister in the Ministry of Works had to come out and tell him, I had a degree, I have masters, but what you have, you went to school with. What you come out with? Nothing. You're a footballer. You should feel ashamed because you're always boasting. But what you have to really show as far as your development and your education is really concerned, what documented evidence you have? That you kick football, that you play football? How do we play football? Not only you. It's a crying shame that they have nothing to offer, but just because they want to oppose for opposing sake, they come there with the diatribe and the lies on the national instrument. Something that all of us, all the people of Trinidad and Tobago, a time when we should be proud and humbled and feel a sense of pride that at last, at long last, it will now be known as the national instrument. And I agree with you, Dominic. We have to watch a certain independent member because she seems to be going down a particular road. I saw it a long time ago, but Mr. Yates spoke about it on many occasions. And she seems to be going down a particular road that is not nice. The first time, when she was caught out, and the other members agreed. I can't remember what was the issue, what was the bill. She didn't vote. She walked out. If you recall, she walked out of the Senate because she recognized that she would have been might have been the only senator to vote against. So she decided not to be there. I can't recall the bill at this time, but I was looking on at the Senate. And this lady, people of Trinidad and Tobago, you all have to watch her and watch her very, very closely because some of the things that she says, there's a clear and present, I don't care what this government brings. I will simply talk and oppose it, but I will agree sometimes because my other colleagues sitting down next to me may agree at sometimes. But they will oppose, she will continue in her contributions, she attempts to oppose. It is a crying shame. But Jayanti Lakshmadial Ramdial, that woman should be ashamed of it. I remember, Dominic, I spoke about this, I think, on your program just recently. And when they came in the lower house, not in the Senate with Ramdial, in the lower house, they were talking about binary numbers. I remember Rudal Monilal and Saddam Hussein talking about the zero. Look at it, 0, 1, 1, 0. Binary numbers are laughing. But today they come and they claim they're supporting because there are some change. Really? Really? So all of a sudden, and you were right, because it was supposed to be for 4 months, now it's for 6 months. So all of a sudden, you don't care about those people who are behind bars for 6 months, about the children and the men and working and all kind of stupid. The idiocy of it all. But that's what we have to listen to, and some of us forget. But we are here to remind people. That is what Ramdial said at the time. That people shouldn't be behind bars. And that, oh my goodness, what about the children of these people? And so they're studying how much cases they have in the court. They're studying that. To make our court a revolving door for these people. They're studying and they're coming out and they're committing more crimes. And the Honorable Attorney General spoke about it and how many times these people come out and commit crimes again and again and again. But that is what they want, because you know it puts money in their pockets. So they don't mind that. You understand? They don't mind. And look at the amount of people, or the persons, the race of persons behind bars. So it don't bother them too much. You understand? They're taking all the money and we good to go. But today they're supporting. You know why? Because elections in a year or a little over a year's time. So they want to have something to talk about next year. But we shall see. Have a good day, Dominic.
You too, sir. It's 2:03. So there was a number calling earlier, 222. So I could probably spare another 5 minutes or so. So if you want to call back. Yeah, so there were so many other things I wanted to touch on, folks, with respect to this SSA matter. The headlines in yesterday's Express. It says PM's text message to Griffith revealed, don't forget FUL for Warner. We will talk about that. SSA, other things on another day. Yeah, we can't talk everything every day. That's needless to say. So let me see what we got here. Lively conversation. Elizabeth Ramtahal says that woman is not independent. How she could tell the opposition they could take the matter to court. Madam President, she is next Paul Richards, but Suriti is worse. Marlene Wilson McNeil says, I'm one of the persons who thought that Pandy had given the Pan fraternity the land for decades and the UNC lied to the people. Let's see here. Hello, good afternoon. Hello.
Dominic.
Hi.
A pleasant and bright Sunday to you.
And to you too.
Taking in as usual, but you know your show hard to get in.
Yes.
So I will be very short because I don't know, somebody else may want to call after. Listen, I just want to say hallelujah, amen to most of your callers. You have said all that I would like to say, and thank you for a very edifying program as usual. And I just want to ask you one thing. You know that when one thing, because everybody said all that I would like to see, I will ask you, do you know when a woman is pregnant, it affects the baby in different ways? whether you're smoking, you're drinking, you're listening to music, you're behaving bad, you're stressed, you know what will happen. So imagine when we have somebody pregnant and like to lie plenty.
Yes.
I will say prayers for that baby. According to your friend in America, I'd leave it there. I hear him today, leave it there. So you have a wonderful Sunday. Bye.
Thank you. Right, so let me also say anniversary greetings to Mr. and Mrs. Giuseppe, who I used to always say good morning to when I was on 91.9. They celebrated their 60th wedding anniversary on Friday, a milestone indeed. So congratulations to them. And I hope I'll give them a call just to extend personally. So always a pleasure. So folks, again, thank you all so much for joining me this Sunday. For those of you who stayed on, I see we still have some 425 persons on YouTube. So yeah, I said a lot more things to talk about, but we will treat with that on Tuesday morning, God's willing. I see the UNC Cabal page is supposed to bust a mark. Well, we will see what comes out of that. So I will check on that. Just so. Yeah, so I see someone saying that the name Mr. Leader, he did come on apparently he's back in Trinidad. So yeah. Catch me this morning. Okay, no, he calls me from his overseas number.
Yeah, where you go?
Yes, sir.
Well, let me take this opportunity, right, to wish the Prime Minister and his wife the anniversary, which they have celebrated last weekend, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
And you know the shows and them jump out themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So they wish them that anniversary.
Yes.
And what we would have talked about Dominic with what Jenny would have picked it up. Right? I don't know if you'll probably shed some light on it or probably before you go so we can but start to work on it from this week going forward. Right? So you can shed a little light on it.
All right, well we will I'll call you after, just give me all the details and yeah. So where what could be dropped off and so on, and we will deal with it from there. So Eric is referencing the debunking page would have liked to arrange or make some sort of arrangement for persons who may be desirous of sending stuff to any of the territories that would have been impacted by Hurricane Beryl. As I said, it's just for him to give me the final details so that I can share it with you guys. Hello, good afternoon.
Dominic.
Yes, sir.
Oh, Dominic.
Yes, sir. I'm hearing you loud and clear.
You know I don't like to call twice.
You always say that, but you do. Go ahead.
Let me ask you a question, Dominic.
Uh-huh.
I hear earlier you were talking about hospitals.
Uh-huh.
How much hospitals was built in Trinidad have a helipad?
Let me see, boy. The Arima Hospital has one. The Central Block in Port of Spain that is under construction will also have one. I'm not too sure about the Point Fortin Hospital. I think there's one. There should be one there as well. And perhaps the Cuba Children's Hospital.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Point taken. Tell her no jump on my chest for that.
All right.
I will leave it here.
Thank you, sir. Folks, yeah, you know you had to adopt that piece of bacana. But thank you all so much for joining me today, folks. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, the rest of your weekend. Looks like it might be a partially rainy Sunday, but we need the rain nevertheless. And yeah, so let me just take this last one. Okay. So, don't know what happened there. Let's see. All right. I don't know what happened there, Brian. Yeah. So always a pleasure, and somebody or like tell Janty she could unblock man. I mean, you know, I'll behave myself. Brian.
Very quickly.
Yes, sir.
I want to thank Leave for reminding me. With respect to the hospital thing,
mm-hmm.
Did you hear anything from Idi Amin Stewart?
No.
But complementing those hospitals and the nurses and doctors and all the other workers who are in those hospitals. But he had nothing good to say. He didn't even defend those in neonatal in Port of Spain.
Yes.
He didn't even defend them. But every time he opened his mouth, it's something about it never have enough nurses. Nurses leaving the country. But he would never ever thank this government for those hospitals in Arima and Sangigani. Never. That is Idi Amin Stewart for you. Every time he opens his mouth, listen to him and hear what he has to say, what his comments are. And he wants to ensure that he gets recognition and certification from the board. That is all he's concerned about. He's not concerned about the good work in the Ministry of Health that we get for free. He don't talk about that. But all he talk about is what's going on in England and people living in Greater England and all kind of stupidity. Right now, the new Prime Minister of England says he has to address the hospitals in England because things are so bad. But you don't talk about that. You understand? That fellow they call Idi Amin Stewart. I'll talk more about it another day. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. And with that, folks, I take my leave. We'll chat again on Tuesday morning, God's willing. Yeah, 6:30. Yeah, we'll see what will transpire between now and then. But even then, lot of stuff to talk about. Yeah. So enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and that's it for me today.